Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by Party Boy, Pants Party, Party in Your Pants, Pete McCormick, and our special guest today is the magnificent Maliq Harris. Party Boy Pete, how you feeling, baby? Ready to get this started?
Matty, boom, batty. I'm ready to go.
Love it, baby. All right. Well, you can find all our episodes and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can find us on Spotify at The Working Perspectives Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. And if you want to follow us on the Twitter or the TikTok, you can join us at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, then email us at workperspectives@gmail.com and we'll go through the approval process and get you approved to be on the show. All right, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is
Working Perspectives. Yeah, it's our objective to be effective. My voice in society's working perspective. We're exploring your workday and how you get paid. Launching new episodes every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with episodes available on all podcast platforms. Check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid like, share, and subscribe. Working Perspectives.
All right. Pants Party, Party in Your Pants, Pants Party Pete. Let me tell you something. So, as you know, we are living in a world where piracy can just go unchecked. All right? We are a victim of piracy. Okay?
It's a pirate's world, Matt.
It's a pirate's world, and I'm freaking Captain Hook right now because I was freaking Peter Panned by some son of a bitch named asshole Tom Lavelle. All right?
I like to call him Dorkbeard.
Fucking Dorkbeard. That's the best. So he's
That's
obviously
right.
not a real true blue member of the DuckTales generation like the rest of us. He's a son of a bitch, bastard, asshole, jerk. And what he did, as the people know, is that he pirated onto my show and he somehow stole the rights to the show. This is my show. It was my idea. And I came up with this. And this bastard came onto my show saying he stole the rights and it was his idea and I stole it from him. And he's a liar.
It's friggin' illegal, Matt. It's illegal.
It's illegal. He should be locked up and thrown in Guantanamo. Throw him in Guantanamo.
That's right.
So that son of a bitch bastard, so what he did was he bought the rights to the show, but he's basically giving me the show back for free because all I got to do is beat him some Mario Kart, which practically already won. The show's pretty much already mine. You know what I mean? So we haven't specified the date and time. I think we narrowed down the location of where the Mario Kart Challenge will take place. Should be taking place at Graham's Pub, Land of the Free, Home of the Brave. When we do have a date and time for that, we will be hosting a live event, which we'll stream live on YouTube and Instagram and every platform that we can. And then the world will see me beat the piss out of, the Dorkbeard pirate asshole,
That's right,
Tom
Dorkbeard.
Lavelle. Yeah, Dorkbeard. We get his ass beat, and then I'll have the rights back to the show. And then we won't have to hear from that frickin' stunad ever again. Does that sound good to you, Pete?
Sounds fantastic to me. I'm on board.
Perfect. Awesome. So, enough about talking about assholes and pirates and things like that. I want to talk about our guest today. Let me tell you about this one. So this guy is a buddy of mine, Maliq Harris. Now, there's people that you run into, throughout your life and stuff like that, that you see right away that you have like an immediate connection with, and that they're kind of like, you're like, all right, we're just, same dude.
On the same page.
Same page, man. I feel like you and me, we're same pagers. You know what I mean? A couple other guys, but Maliq is definitely one of them. Also, Maliq is one of those people. So there's people out there, and we won't say what their affiliations are or anything like that, but there are a lot of talk and a lot of complaining about what's wrong and what's doing wrong, right? And there's no action and no solution, right? Not Maliq. Maliq sees the wrong things going on in the world, and he's doing his best to try and make the world better with all the actions that he does. He's got a really astounding story, really a lot of accomplishments. And honestly, so I'll tell you this, Party in Your Pants, Pants Party Pete. We aired the Pretty Rick Outland episode recently. And
fantastic episode.
Fantastic. And it can be found on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Texas Podcast. And on that episode, we mentioned that Pretty Rick Outland had 5 kids. 5.
Very rare these days. You don't hear many. You know, most people stop out at 1 to 3. 3's the max.
Yeah. So you thought 5's rare. How about 12?
5 is pretty rare. 12.
12.
12.
Pete,
it sounds like somebody else had the party in their pants, and it wasn't me.
It was a freaking prom in that pants. You kidding me? They had the ball in that pants. My God. Yeah, they had the freaking, everything in that pants. Yeah, how about it? 12 kids.
They got a whole line of scrimmage plus a guy calling the plays.
Yeah, man. They got a whole offensive side of the ball. yeah. And the coach. Dude, so Pete, how crazy, imagine this. You're one of 6. So imagine double that.
Jesus.
That's crazy. But I'll tell you this, it takes a strong guy and a strong foundation to be able to do that. And we are going to find out today that Maliq he's all that it's cracked up to be. Strong dude, but a good dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And anybody that's raising 12 children.
God bless him, man. God bless him. And I'll tell you this, he's another guy that I met him. We met in the ring. I think the first time I talked to him, first time I talked to him, other than hi, I'm Matt, hi, I'm Maliq, we had punched each other in the face first, and then afterwards we start talking. When you meet at the gym, that's just how it goes. And I really feel like me and him were training partners, and we trained together, and you really develop, and you know this, Pete, because it was the same for you and me, you really develop a bond with your training partners, Yeah,
anybody that you've gone toe-to-toe with, like a little boxing or wrestling or grappling, anytime you put the blood and the sweat and the tears on the mat together, it's a different kind of a bond.
Agreed. Even if it's and that goes too, if you have a rival or something like that, there still is a connection there, a respect. But for friends too, you have a guy that all right, like I said, instantly connected, and then right away we're just cool. And then also because when you're training and when you're in camp, and Maliq will agree with this, is that you have to rely on your training partners, right? They're your tools. They're sharpening you. They're getting you ready. And he's a guy I could rely on to be there, give me the best, and I would like to think I did the same for him. So he's still doing his thing. He's still in the game. He's got 12 kids. He's working right now as a delivery driver for a beer distributor. So he's hauling 160-pound kegs up and down the stairs of these little freaking Italian buildings all day. Yeah, you thought your job was tough. Forget about it.
I know.
But he's the best dude. He's married. He's got 12 kids. He's doing a lot of stuff. I can't wait to hear about it. And I'm happy to have him on the show. So Maliq, I'm glad you're here. And I just wanted to ask, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what do you think of that piece of shit movie?
I have not seen it at all. Don't even know how to spell it. None of that. But I have not seen it. You want to tell me about it?
I'll tell you this. You don't need to see it because it's a piece of shit.
All right. Well, I'll take
Have
your
you heard
word
of
for it. I trust you.
Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz, all crap compared to this. The greatest musical of all time.
You are
really?
such a no, not really. Not really at all.
No. The Wizard of Oz was a good movie, though.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. For sure.
So what's going on?
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this, man. Dude, honestly, I've said this before, but I truly mean this. When we started this show and started doing this, in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I wish I could get this person on, and oh man, I wish I could get this person on. Dude, you legit popped in my head he would be great to have on the show. And then so happy that I was able to connect with you and get you on the show. And dude, it's been gangbusters ever since, man. So really excited to have you on. So how's life been for you, man? How's things going?
Oh, life is great, man. Life is crazy, but it's great. 12 kids, it can't be easy. You know what I mean? No, it's a lot. Somebody tells me 3 kids or 4 kids, I'm like, dude, my hands tied behind my back. That's easy, man. You know what I mean? Blindfold, like 3 kids. I mean, come on, 3 kids, 1 arm. My wife does 12, can do them all. I need a little help with the 12, but 3, 4, 5, I can handle. When it gets to them big numbers, man, you know what I mean? A gallon of milk a day. Just imagine that. A gallon of milk a day.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. How much cheese we going through? Bread. This is you got one of those big drop freezers that freeze everything.
Yeah, I have 2 refrigerators, deep freezer, 2 dishwashers. I mean, double everything. You know what I mean? Literally. Double. I'm not going to convert to a big, tall passenger van. That I refuse to do it. You know what I mean? We'll do 5 cars before we do the 12 passenger van. My wife suggested it, but we're just not doing it. I can't do it, man.
Yeah, I was one of 6 kids, and we had the 15-seater passenger van. But that was also part working. My dad owned a deli, so he used it to get the groceries for the store. But it came in handy. And whenever we had like little league or anything, my dad got to drive the entire team.
Yeah, I'll put them on my trailer instead. I'm not.
Yeah, that's hilarious, dude. That's great. I always wondered this. So like, you see, like in the pros, you see like the Gronkowski family. You see like the Matthews family. Like there's a bunch of like, and like even like John Jones, like his family, right? Like these guys, these are massive human beings. So they all hit a growth spurt at one time where they're probably still eat a ton now. But when they were like 15 to 6, I could only imagine what their food bill was like at their house. You're with 12 kids, your food bill has to be like you're feeding a small country.
Oh man, it's insane. Like I don't usually shop with my wife too often, and she took me to BJ's one time, and I literally went to BJ's and I was like, how much is the bill? I mean, when the bill gets to $2,000 and $3,000, she's like, yeah, and I still got to go back every single week. I mean, like literally $2,000 is easy. And then you're going there for once a month, and then every week you still got to go back to the grocery store to get bread and milk because you can't just fit it all. You know what I mean?
Dude, you probably got like 3 carts, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, 3 carts, a flat cart, If she only took me because she had all the big stuff to take, and I'll never go again. I'll never just to see her swipe that card with that amount of money for that amount of food. She comes home and tells everybody, don't eat at all. Like no one can eat. This is ridiculous. So I'm like, hungry. I'm like, you cannot be hungry. I just spent $3,000. You cannot be. Just cook something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make me feel good. At least cook something.
Yeah, yeah. There's no pizza being ordered for 12 at this,
No.
like hell no.
No.
Not after a $3,000.
No. And I still try to order out for pizza. Yeah. And I still order out on Friday nights. And my wife's like, I just went grocery shopping. I'm like, I know, but. And she's like, yeah, there is no but. Somebody's, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm ordering a cheesesteak. I'll let them make some food. You know what I mean? I gotta.
Yeah, it's just Dad's cheesesteak. Dad gets his cheesesteak, and
Gotta have a cheesesteak every now and then. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Sure.
what's your spot? What's your cheesesteak spot?
Around here, I like 5 Points Pizza, and I like New Station in this area right here.
New Station in Lansdale?
Yeah.
Dude, the
Yeah,
best.
I'm not picky,
That's
man.
my favorite spot. My favorite spot.
yeah. So were there family trips to the mall? Was there like, oh, we're getting all 12 of you in the car and we're going to the mall? We're doing Christmas shopping. Were those trips a thing?
Yeah, so what's funny is I call my family like we're the League of All Nations because we're so many different genres of races and groups. So when we go to the mall, it's kind of funny like to see. But like when they were a little bit younger, my wife would like walk in the front, I walk in the back, and you see like a trail of people, and you just, people just going. You know what I mean? You count the heads as you're going. You know what I mean? We went to Disney World, we had to break up in groups. You know what I mean? Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I like Disney World. Like how? Yeah. Were leashes ever involved, or was it a no leash household?
Well, we had some adults. I did want to do the leashes. I really did want to do them. Teen parents doing them, but we were just we made it work. But man, it was hard. I don't care what anybody says. Disney World is not the happiest place on earth when you have small children. For adults, it's great, but there's nothing happy about screaming kids, hot, crying, scared of every.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this happy? I want to sit on the beach somewhere and like do nothing happy. Like Disney World is a beautiful sight, but taking all them kids there, you can forget about it. To me, peaceful is home. My kids out back playing in the pool. I can see them all fenced in, do nothing. That's peaceful. That's vacation to me. Anything else, when I got to get in my car and drive, there's no more vacation. Not
You want
for
the
me.
staycation, then you can get the cheesesteak, make the kids fend for themselves. It's all, you know.
Oh, man.
So
You're talking my language.
Yeah, speaking of, okay, so New Station Pizza, I'm not gonna lie, I've said it, that's might be my favorite pizza spot. I love New Station because they got the
Likewise.
sweet sauce, dude. Oh, it's the
Oh,
best.
sweet. Oh.
It's so good.
Have you
And
guys ever
they're
had
thicker.
Franzone's pizza?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I deliver their beer there. Yeah, I love Friends.
Oh.
I deliver beer over in Bridgeport and the Plymouth Meeting. So
Franzone's is my favorite pizza place, and me and my wife recently moved to Roxborough where they have a Franzone's. And
nice.
I get it one time and she hates it. So I'm like, wait a minute, my favorite pizza, and this is the one that you hate. So now I have to wait till she goes out of town.
Dude,
yeah.
That's heartbreaking. That's
Or
really
just be selfish. You get it yourself. Be selfish. Get it for you. You know what I mean? You know?
Hey, that's just it's just like, oh, you don't want any? Fine, I'll just eat the whole pizza. Fine, forget
Exactly.
it. That's what I would do.
Exactly. My wife doesn't eat seafood, and that's what I do. She doesn't eat seafood, so she'll make in the world. But like I get crab legs all to myself. I get shrimp all to myself. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like literally, she won't even touch it. So I literally I can be like 6-7 pounds of crab legs and don't have to ever worry about her touching them. It's heaven.
Isn't that one thing? So are you?
Lucky
Lucky as hell. Are you guys like? Is your wife like this? So basically, anything I eat, it's like my wife's fucking smorgasbord. She can have like she just comes up whatever. If it's reverse and she's eating something and I try to touch it or try to take a sip of her drink or something, it's like fucking I'm 2 inches away from being shot in the face with a gun. You know what I mean? Like,
don't you ever, don't you ever, don't you ever. She will tell me she doesn't want it, and I'll say, get your own. I'm being stingy. You're not getting it. No, I'll just it's fine. I'll pick at yours. No, you're not picking at mine. I want it all. I get it. She picks at just saying, I should have ordered that. I should have got something for myself. I'm like, I've learned a lesson. Now. Been married so long. I just I order an extra one for her, put it in the bag, don't say anything. When the time comes, like, hey, there you go. Your mozzarella sticks are in the bag. Go get them. You know?
Yeah. I got 2 fries because I knew.
Yeah, they give me 6. You can't have none of these. No, I'm not sharing none of these.
I have this other thing. So I'm a picky eater, and my wife is always trying to get me to eat things I don't like, particularly mayonnaise, which just creeps me out. And so she's always trying to sneak. She's like, "Oh, I made you a grilled cheese." I'm like, "Did you use mayonnaise instead of butter?" Because I know you did. And you trying to put something in my body I don't like. That's rape. I know about rape culture. You rape me.
Yes, that's disrespectful. That's just rape. That's like forcing you to do something. Exactly. Absolutely.
Dude, that food rape.
Food rape. I'm using that one, Pete. I'm using that one. Food rape. Yeah, I'm using that one.
Dude, you know what's been my move lately when we go out or like when we order something, right? Because I know this is what's gonna happen. So like the whole thing of like she's just gonna eat what I get. So I'll eat pretty much anything. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? Except for like vegetarian bullshit. I ain't eating that. But so we'll be out to dinner. She'll pick something, and then I'll be like, okay, what's the second thing that you would want to get on the menu, right? And she's like, oh, if I didn't get this, I was gonna get this. I was like, fine, I'm getting that. And then so I know like now I just fucking have to I don't have to deal with it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's your second option? I'll just choose that. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone for sure.
Like, I'm going between the steak and the sand. Like, I guess we're getting both. All right.
That's my move, man. That's the way to go. Dude, but nice. So New Station Pizza, big supporter of New Station Pizza here. Love it. They have it. I'll tell you what, one of the things that I love that they have a cheesesteak stromboli that is out of this fucking world, dude. Oh my God. Fucking cheesesteak boli, babe. Forget about it. Damn, I might have that. I might have that this weekend thinking about it. Damn.
I'm thinking about it tonight. That's why you saying it, man. You got looking for my debit card, right? You know what I mean? I got the phone call.
The order. Man, I wish New Station delivered to Mayfair, you know.
Right.
But okay, so let's keep it moving. I wanted to get to the new hottest segment, hitting the streets. It's Memory Lane.
Where do these bizarre memories come from?
So in English, if you say this is lame when you're describing something, what you are saying is that it's not cool. It's not awesome. It's not interesting.
Now that's lame as in not cool. Like your wife not letting you pick off her plate even though she picks off your plate nonstop. So lame, like Lame. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring up something from the 90s, and we're going to vote on it and talk about it to see if it's still radical, totally tubular, or if it's lame city. So as a tradition on this show, Leak, what is your memory lane topic, item, whatever?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 90s. Let's go with 90s clothes.
Ooh, okay.
Oh,
Let's bring it. Let's narrow it down. Do you remember BK Nights?
I do.
The sneakers?
The
BK Nights? Bro.
I remember. Yeah.
Bro. Oh my God.
Hold on. What about the lottos that you could take off and interchange the Velcro lottos to make different lotto signs on? You could, like, you know what I mean? The red ones you can change and put them off and put blue ones on there. You can literally change to match your outfit. The old lotto sneakers. They're like the British game. The lotto.
oh man, you guys are blowing my mind here. Sneakers with Velcro and like all kind of interchangeable symbols.
Man,
All right.
yeah.
Were the BK Nights the ones that lit up? Did they light up?
I think they were LA Gears, weren't they? That lit
LA
up?
Gear.
Yes.
LA Gear.
LA Gears.
Gear, bro.
Oh,
Dude.
we're showing our age now for sure.
Yo, I'll tell you this right now. If LA Gears came out, they'd be the hottest shit in the streets right now. They released,
because all the light up shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They love
If they
to keep
released
up that
LA
business.
Gears, forget
I
it.
went to a haunted house wearing the LA Gears, and then they yelled at me because I was ruining the haunted house with my laid up sneakers as I went through.
And you're like, well,
LA
two fucking
Gears,
minutes.
wow.
So, yeah. If you got a haunted
That's
house
crazy.
shitty enough to be ruined by LA Gears, then dude, LA
Look,
Gears.
the 90s code that stands out to me the most: Jenko jeans.
Oh
Janko
my
jeans.
God.
Yeah.
Those were like the skater gimmicks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the
widest
MC Hammer
leg.
poncho pants? The poncho
Oh
pants.
yeah.
to wear
Oh,
back
dude,
in the
the ones that had like the strings hanging off, like the
Yeah,
like,
they're real
the ones
baggy.
you wear to like a rave and shit, right? They're like parachute pants, right? Like those.
Yeah,
gimmicks?
Yeah, they were
parachute pants,
baggy, but
that's
then they
it.
got tighter on the ankles. You know, that way you weren't dragging.
Exactly. Yes, yeah.
Oh my dude! Also, remember we're ruining like so many memory lane. Remember tearaway pants, breakaway pants, Adidas
Oh
breakaway
yeah, snap them
pants.
off. Yeah.
I remember I had the fucking sweetest outfit. It was a green and white Wayne Corbett Jets jersey and the matching green and white Adidas tearaway pants. Fucking forget about it. Your boy's
Wow.
showing up to the St. Jude dance looking fly. Let me tell you. Let
Sure.
me tell you.
That's how you do it, man.
Dude,
I mean,
man,
and you had to have a pair of good-looking jeans back when you wore your pants backwards like crisscross. You know what I mean? You had because everybody can see what you had on. Like nowadays, because back in the day they were in the front. So if you had some corny jeans on, everybody saw them. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'll tell you what. Now I feel like it is like for jeans. I did the gimmick where so shout out. I mean, no free promotions, but I'll shout them out. So Muggsy jeans, right? So they're like the athletic ones. They're like the ones that are like they stretch. Dude, I'm not gonna lie.
Matt, are you buying maternity jeans?
I wish, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Everything's stuff.
I have 3 pairs of these jeans, and like I can't wear like normal Levi's anymore because these jeans are just that comfortable. They're incredible. So,
All right.
yeah. Plus, too, if like I'm a bigger guy, so like an elastic kind of around the waist. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm there. If you guys, telling you, don't be afraid to check them out. Breathable, comfortable.
I'll check them out.
Athletic, stretchy. They're nice, and they look
Sounds
sleek
good
as
to me.
shit. So
Yeah.
all right. So let's take we'll do LA Gear and BK Nights is what we're voting on. So Maliq, since you threw it in there, what are you gonna vote? Are they still radical, tubular, or are they lame?
Man, I'm old school. I think they're still radical, man. If I found a pair of them, I think they'd be classics, man.
Yeah.
I take it.
Peter Hosen, what do you got?
I think it's just the stink of the Jenko jeans still on my mind, but I gotta go lame
Oh,
for
you
the
son-
90s clothes.
You son of a bitch. So because in honor of the Wayne Corbett and the Adidas tearaway pants, I'm gonna rad these because that outfit would still be rocking today. Wayne Corbett,
Yeah.
shout out, salt in the slot, Wayne Corbett. So all right, nice. So we're gonna move through. That was another rousing segment of Memory Lane. For all you people listening out there, if you'd like to submit your memory lane topics to us, you can do that on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, on the Twitter at Working P Pod, or you can email them to us at workperspectives@gmail.com. and we'll throw up your memory lane suggestions to be on the show. All right, fans, time for breaking action to bring back one of our favorite segments. This is Shit That Happened in Wrestling with our good friend Steve Gavitt. Steve, what shit happened in wrestling?
We had some sad shit happen again this weekend at the Olympic trials. My guy, Southern Regional's finest, New Jersey state champ, Frank the Tank Molinaro, who's all of 5 feet tall, but can bench press a house, decided to finally call it quits. He was our representative last year, or 4 years ago in the Olympics, and surprised everybody with a great run through the tournament, grabbed himself, I think, a bronze medal. Now, he tried one more time. He's coaching at Arizona State. This was his last run. He did not get there, got the brakes beat off him by Yanni Diamahakalis, and he beat the shit out of Frank. Frank decided to call it a career. And in wrestling, you leave your shoes in the middle of the mat. Why? I don't know. We're not the brightest people, but he did it. It's over. Bye-bye, Frank the Tank. And that's what the fuck happened in wrestling.
All right, now it's Shit That Happened in Wrestling with our good friend Steve Gavitt. Now, back to the show. All right, so let's keep this moving. I really want to get into this because we got a lot of really good stuff today to go over. So, like I said, our boy Maliq here, he was born at Norristown Hospital, grew up in Penn Lynn, right? He did public school K through 12, and then he went to NBTI after high school to get to be a certified trainer. He played baseball for a little bit at the age of 5 to 6. Soccer he played for a few years. Then he did football for a few years, like when he was in high school. But then at 18 he started boxing, and he hasn't stopped since. So I want to get into it. So Maliq, when you played football, where did you play, and what position were you playing?
Well, man, all the schools. I played at Wissahickon. I played in Norristown. Also played at Glen Mills. At tight end, defensive end.
What did you like better, tight end or DN?
DN, man. I like to be free, man. I like to be free. I don't like to be caged in, man. You know, I need the freedom to be able to just be myself, man. Tight end is just, it's too many routes they got to run, and DN is like, don't let them get outside you. I don't care what you do. Don't get just contain. You know what I mean? So it's a lot easier for somebody like me. Yeah, for sure.
And a tight end, if you want to hit people, you just get the little chip blocks. Whereas DN, you're on someone every single play.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
And you're hand fighting too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of hand fighting when you're on the D line. Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So
and he also came up when Reggie White was the man of the city. So it's like the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Got to inspire.
Reggie and Jerome. Oh my God. Yeah, and then we got Mike Mamula. So when we would, so I had Eagle season tickets for 12 years, and I got rid of them. But when we would go down there, we used to sing this song. We used to sing Mike Mamula, Mike. Fucking like our whole section would love it. It was hilarious. I wish we would have got it. Yeah. So, all right. So nice. So then you did football, and then you started boxing at 18. But I want to start before that. So your first job you got was in Lansdale, PA, land of the free, home of the brave, at a little restaurant called Luigi's. And you were 14.
Yes.
All right. And you were dishwashing, right?
I was good too.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you. So here's a funny story. So the restaurant you worked at called Luigi's, it's right across from the train station in Lansdale. So I grew up in Lansdale in that neighborhood. And honestly, I probably went to Luigi's a bunch. I went to Luigi's a bunch of times because we were former producer and co-host of the show, Shake, his mom was a waitress at Luigi's, and we would go in and see her and like get some food on our way to the Boys and Girls Club in Lansdale and stuff like that, land of the free, home of the brave. And so I probably walked by Maliq while he was working probably 100 times without even knowing it. Right. So, and then a couple years later, Luigi's would shut down, and then it would be bought and made into another restaurant called Casa de Michi, where I would then work, and I would be a dishwasher and busboy at Casa de Michi. So me and Maliq we're a few years behind each other, where he was dishwashing at this place, and then a few years later, I would end up being a dishwasher there when it was, same building, same place, just a different name. Crazy stuff.
Crazy.
So
I wonder who cleaned the dishes better. If we had a dish off right now.
I'll tell you it's Maliq, because I was awful.
I was good, man. When I tell you I was good, there's lots I'm not good at, but what I'm good at, I'm good at. I was good then. I still hand wash dishes to this day. I don't even put my dishes in the dishwasher. I still hand wash dishes. That's how, you know what I mean? Still to this day.
Dude, that's the way. I'm the same way. And I'm not a rinser either. I'm cleaning. If I'm doing the hand washing, I'm fucking cleaning it. I'm not just running water over it and put it back. Like, that ain't cleaning it. You're just wetting like dirty food and shit.
I had a couple of roommates back in the day when we didn't have a dishwasher, and even when we did, they just wouldn't clean the dishes. Not, somebody I lived with at one point, and some other people. And after that, it made me now the dishes have to be clean. I can't take dirty dishes in the sink at all.
Well, that's funny, Pete, because me and you lived together, didn't we?
Oh, that is strange, isn't it? Huh? I wonder who it could have been.
Wow. Interesting.
Must have been the squirrels.
Yeah, fuck you.
That means I'm a better dishwasher then. Speaking of, then if that's the case, that means I want a dishwashing thing then.
Exactly. You took it home. It was for you. It wasn't just a job. It was a mentality.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're gonna do it right. You know what I mean?
Amen. So +2. So okay. So that was your first gig. First, like under the table. Mine was under the table too. Yeah. But how did you like it? So it was like your first paying gig. Did you have to take the train there?
No, actually, I used to go to Boys and Girls Club after school, and I would walk over, and then my mom would pick me up. So it was like the routine. Like go to school, Boys and Girls Club dropped you off, walked over across the street, worked, and then when you got done nighttime, mom come and scoop me up, or I had my bike, but I lived over in Hatfield, so most times she would come scoop me up and take me home.
Yeah, that's a ride for sure.
Yeah, it's a ride. Yeah.
Is that how you got the job? Because it was across from the Boys and Girls Club. Is that what made you go for it?
Yeah, I was going to the Boys and Girls Club, and one of the staff members over there, I was doing some community service there, ironically, and thought I needed some money, and so she said, "I'm going to find you a job." But back then, you could get jobs even when you were younger, but you had to know somebody. So
right.
She went over there and got me the job, like off her name, right on the spot, and I was able to get the job. Thankful to her, I was able to get the job.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's honestly, as like a kid, that's a sweet gig, man. Like I got a job there. Then I got, a friend of the show, former guest of the show, Jason Bowers, a job there. We talked about when he was on the show. Then I got, segment guest of the show, Alan Bach. I got him a job there. You know what I mean? Like we were all of us were working there at one point, man. But it was like, that's a sweet, cash gig. You got to eat when you were there. Like you were hanging out, also the cooks we were hanging out with were older and they were kind of schooling us on life.
When you're a kid, the restaurant industry is the coolest industry in the world. You're like, look at all these people, they're drinking and they're smoking and they're hanging out after work. You're you're just like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, plus when you work in that restaurant in the business like that, it's you get paid every day. So it was like you felt like you were leaving, you weren't waiting all week for your check. You know what I mean? I think that was important. When I left, it was like, oh, I walked in, I got $40 or whatever it was. So that was always good. That I felt like when I was leaving, as a child, you're so impatient. So to be able to get paid on the spot and go home, I think that made it better. Like Friday night, you get your Friday nights, your Saturdays, but you're like, I got money, my friends don't. You know what I mean? So that was
And you're buying some clothes and some gimmick like that. Yeah, that's honestly. That took me a while because I bartended for years, from when I was 19 till my early 30s, and I bartended for years. And having cash after your shift, that was for me, it took a while to get used to not having the cash after the shift and being on every 2 weeks you get a check. Took me a while to get used to that. Yeah, nothing. Dude, hey man, nothing like cash in the hand, brother. You're making it. You're making it while you're working. That's a nice gimmick. So nice. So that's a nice starter gig. Honestly, too, I always thought this. I think everyone should eventually work in a restaurant at some time, just so they get a perspective that because
other people suck.
Yeah, people are assholes. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be rude to a complete stranger for no reason. You know what I mean? like to have some manners and respect and not talk down to the people that are waiting on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think everyone should have that experience, but you know, we're only people. What can you do? So then, so for you, Maliq, then you kept the dishwasher theme going and you left Luigi's and you went to a retirement home and you were a dishwasher at a retirement home. Is that right?
This is true. Worst job.
Worst job, you said?
Worse.
So, all right. So, can you go into it? What was so bad about? So, you were dishwashing at the little Italian gimmick in Lansdale, not so bad. You go to the old folks home. What? And I'm assuming this wasn't under the table. This was a check one, right? Like it was like a 2-week.
Correct. So first of all, you get paid with a check. Second of all, at least Luigi's, you ate good Italian food all night long, right? Old folks home, there's no seasoning on the food. Everything's bland, right? Everyone's good. You know what I mean? It's like they give you a little like 2 ounces of orange juice to drink. You know what I mean? Like it's they want to take part of your checkout for your meals and stuff like that. It was and the bosses were just on you about everything. I mean, at least in there it was just literally like a machine. You like put your dishes in, throw it through a machine, you push it out. Yeah. It's just all night long. But it was a job that like was never ending. You're in an area like at least Luigi's, the back door when there's nothing, you can go outside, sit out back, see friends can come. I had friends come by and sit out back while we were talking. There, you couldn't go outside. You're cooped in that back area. No windows, no clocks. It's just if
a cog in a machine.
Yeah, man. It was a parallel move. You go from like, you know, doing that job and getting paid under the table, making money, per se, going and getting into another job, getting taxed. You know, feel like you're not doing. You're getting older, you're not progressing in life. You know what I mean? So it's one of the things. This is what I really want to be doing the rest of my life. I mean. Washing dishes, and not to say, listen, if that's what you do, you make great money, you love it, great. But for me, it was just like I could have stayed at Luigi's. I mean, they closed, but I would have been. The environment, I think, makes it a lot different. I like to be in a. It's not so much about the money, but the people, man. People make the job a lot of times. Not so much about the money.
Yeah, I mean, you're spending 40 hours a week with these people. You know, it's good to get along with them and have some kind of a personal connection. Otherwise, it's just every day just becomes a bore and a chore.
Yeah, you're not laughing with anybody, or like at Luigi's, you're in there with the cooks, they're back and forth, there, this, that. You know what I mean? It was a fun environment to be in. But like I said, in the older folks' home, it just like I said, it was really quiet. You know, there's no music playing. You know, it just like I said, it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. That's all.
Well, plus too, like I mean, that's like there's legit. You're waiting on zombies. You know what I mean? Like you're there, like you're working with like robots and they're waiting on zombies. So that's a tough gig, man. Yeah, I'm with you. We had a couple of people that were on the show that had worked at retirement homes, and they had said like, it's the worst. So all right, nice. So let's keep this moving then. So after you left the retirement home, then you started working as a subcontractor for a cable business, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what year was this around? Was this like the early 2000s?
Actually, it was 98.
Okay.
Yeah, so right before 2000. Yes, correct.
Okay,
this was cable in its heyday.
Exactly.
This is cable. Yes, cable in its heyday.
So like you have like so you're kind of switching people from dial-up to cable or whatever, right? To like a cable modem. Is that kind of what's going on?
Correct. Well, I wasn't switching anything. I was the guy you didn't want to see. You know, I was the guy coming.
Oh.
So if you didn't pay your cable bill, then you would get paid by how many blocks you put on the cable line. So you would go up on the cable line, and if you wanted HBO or so on and so forth, you would have to take these locks off of the cable line. So that's how you would stop from stealing cable. So because the HBO and all this stuff was all premiums. So basically, if someone didn't pay, now they cut off your cable. Whereas though then they would just take away certain channels from you. And that's how they would do it. So we were with ladders, and we would go around in people's yards, and then they would kick us out of their yards. They got dogs. So it was crazy. You got a ladder. You got to run.
It's almost like if you're a repossession man or someone that's going after cars. Like, you're messing with even though they're like, you haven't paid for it. People get fucking angry, and some people have weapons.
So and the funny thing about it is that it's like a hustle. Like guys, like, yo, man, listen, I'll give you $20. Like, just skip mine. Like, don't. You're like, listen, if I leave this on, it's $2 per lock you put on. So if a guy comes and says, I'm going to give you 20 to skip me, I mean, that's what, an 800% markup? Yo, give me to the next house, right? So when you would go to, you would get paid per pole you would climb and do. But the craziest thing is that I didn't like heights. So here I am with a ladder on the pole, right? And like, again, like you said, and you're literally, it's like literally you get out of the truck, you got 4 guys, get out of the truck, you got ladders, and you go in different directions, right? And you got a chart, and you're looking at the chart, who you cut off, whatever case may be. But the thing about it is the more you do in a short period of time, the more money you make. So you hope to get up onto a building, onto a pole, and there's like 5 lines up there because it's like, oh, boom, that's like $10 right there, right? Or it's the apartment buildings are the best. You walk in, it's like 80 apartments. You just go down and click them, boom, 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 go down. Then you can make a whole bunch of money. So like you would kind of fight to get those kind of things. But again, like you said, can you imagine cutting somebody's cable off and they catch you? I mean, you were not favored by a lot of people. You know what I mean? When things like that happen. But
it's Tyson versus Holyfield's about to start. Somebody comes out like, "Are you seriously cutting off my cable?"
Well, and that's when they get you at a time. You know, when a premium something that was going to happen. I mean, that was like the prime time, like to get you to pay your cable, which people don't realize. Like for instance, for a fight, like a Holyfield Tyson fight, right? You order that fight, right? And the cable people and the companies, they pay the fighters that night, but they don't get paid the revenue for them to the next cycle. So basically, if you order a fight today, they don't get their money to your next statement. So they're actually in the red until they get their money. So if you watch the fight and then don't pay your cable bill, it's a problem. So what they'll do is back then is they would cut your cable off prior, looking at like, if you want to watch the fight, I know you didn't pay for it before or afterwards. So they can make sure that we went out. Like if the Tyson fight in November, you can forget in November, everybody's getting cut off. You know what I mean? You're saying,
oh shit.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, they know when. I mean, now they can do it from a center, but back then, I mean, you would have areas where you would go into and they'd be like, look, it's a big prime area, big fight area, whatever. A lot of people not paying their cable bill. You cut them all off, and then because before that you would have cable to one house to the next, and people would split it, and they would just take their cable line and split it into yours, and you wouldn't get such good quality, but you could watch it. It was kind of like like stealing the cable. So they cut the block, so the block would stop the person from doing it and stop you from cutting it. You know what I mean? On areas where you see cable running from one to the next, you know what I mean? They just cut them down and make sure you can get it. Oh yeah, it would make it really inconvenient. I mean, it was a crazy job to have, especially back then. Yeah, that's how they got you.
Damn.
Cable.
You got like people coming after you, like legit. If I like plus two, I mean, well, you know, they kind of had to know it's coming too, right? Like
they know
you're
it's
not paying
coming.
your bill.
No, but you know what I mean. But again, people look. Everyone's like last minute. You know what I mean. But I mean, I told my mom, I think you've been everything under the sun. You know what I mean. They called you every name possible. You know what I mean. Your mom, you son of a bitch. You did it because again, you're inconveniencing them, or it's always I'm about to go pay it, or I was going to go pay it, or I'm just like, look, I'm doing my job. You know what I mean. But that was a job that was like, I mean, it was fun and adventurous. But I don't wish that upon anybody, because nowadays, man, you'll get shot. You go in somebody's yard now and cut a line off there. You know, it's a totally different.
That's why it's all digital now. Now there's just somebody behind a computer hitting the enter key, and it's like, all right, now your cable's gone.
Yeah. Like you pay your cable bill, it's on in 30 seconds. You don't pay it, it's off in 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
It's funny though how like splitting cable is still a thing. Like I guarantee we all share a Netflix or something password with someone. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Like, so some kind of thing. So I know, like, I'll trade them. So like I have Netflix, I have HBO Go, and I have Disney. So I'll trade them with someone for their Hulu or for their Amazon Prime. you know what I mean? So it's like, all right, you can get my HBO Go, but don't give it to anybody else. And then, you know, give me your whatever. You know what I mean? So like,
I don't need you logged in my Hulu when I am too, because then they limit it at 2 people, or they make you pay for 4. And they're like, look, if you log in, you give it to your homie, and you're both logged in, then I'm logged out. Now it's my line. I can't even get on to watch what I want to watch.
Yeah. And then you got to cut all of them off, and then you got to change it and do it. Yeah. So then you're doing your same thing again, and you're not even getting paid for it. Yeah.
This is true for sure.
Dude. Oh man, crazy, the digital world now, right? So I'll tell you this too. Do you remember like, speaking of memory lane, do you remember the dial-ups? Did you guys have dial-up internet?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Bro.
Dude, it took you had to wait like 10 minutes just to download one tit. You're like, oh, come on, this is getting ridiculous. My dad's gonna be home any minute now.
You've been sitting there with your dick in your hand. You're like, oh, what do I gotta do? Ridiculous. What happened? You know?
It's like a line at a time going down the screen. You're like, oh my God, is that a nipple? Ah!
Yes.
Yeah.
God forbid they just somebody called you. I mean, you've someone calls you more of a dial up. Oh man, you want to lose your favorite grandma. You're like, really?
Yeah.
Like right now? Like it's my prime time. Don't call me during that time, you know?
Yeah. You're like, it's after school and it's before 4:30. You know the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mom's not home. I got an hour and a half by myself. I need 10 minutes. I got about 4 times to log on and log out. What are you doing, right?
Yeah. Fucking a telemarketer calls you like, you know what you just ruined, you bastard. I was so close.
You're definitely not getting the business now.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So screw dial-up. That's a fucking lame dial-up for sure.
Yes,
but then, yeah. All right. So nice. So let's keep on trekking then. So this is what I want to get into next. So you left from the subcontractor for Comcast, which that's fascinating, and you explained it really well. I didn't know that, like how it went down. Like a major fight would affect a major industry. Like cable industry is a major industry, so like they know, like, all right, this is coming. Like let's start cracking here. You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's fascinating. And that's how like sport moves things. You know what I mean? Like
right.
a major
if you
sporting
think about
event.
it, right? If they tell you, if Mayweather signs a deal, just hypothetical today, if he signed a deal for $100 million, right, and it's on the dotted line, they're on that for $100 million, right? Plus whatever back incentive he has, right? There's no guarantee that he's going to make that revenue back. So basically, they're selling that ahead of time. But let's just say he doesn't get the pay-per-view buys that they want, right? They still, at the end of the night, they cut his check. But when you get your cable bill, you don't pay your cable bill until the following month. So in reality, the numbers of how many buys or whatever, they come that day, but they don't actually get their money. So they're, like I said, they're in the red until they get their money. So basically they're on the hook for that kind of stuff. So it's easy
from
how.
the accounting world, from the accounting world, that's what we call accrual basis accounting. So once you have it on paper that you're owed the money, then you book the revenue and you say, I have this revenue. And then until and then if it's not paid within so many days, then they take it away. It's called bad debts. They're like, okay, so here's your revenue, and then here's your bad debts.
Right.
Wow.
It's amazing to see and how they actually do that. Like, they make these deals with people ahead of time, and then again, like you said, you don't even know whether or not. I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, that's why a lot of times they'll have things where like a fight that's supposed to happen, and then the guy won't make weight or something. They'll like force it, like, yo, we're on the hook for $50 million. You're gonna, you know what I mean? Or you're gonna pay the fine and give you the belt up, but this fight's got to go on, because if not, I mean, what do we do? I mean, because they're not gonna say, oh, I'm not getting my money back. You know what I mean? These guys get guaranteed a certain portion of it guaranteed. So when you're buying your, something like that ahead of time, like I said, you buy it today, you pay it next month. If they don't get their money, so a fight like that or something along the lines, they would take your cable and block it before the big fight. If you're like 2 months past, they're like, well, look, you're not going to pay it next month, so we're going to block you off now in hopes that you paid in that much because you want to watch the Tyson fight or whatever it was back then. Do you know what I mean? That was coming on. That's how they would get you. So they knew when to really crank it up and turn them cable lines off.
I mean, I can see that too, because think too, like, especially in that era, the late 90s, I know, like, WrestleManias and all that stuff that, like, people are buying the shit out of that,
Well, there was like all kinds of cool stuff on like pay-per-view back in the day. There was like Disney on Ice, like there would be like concerts, there'd be like stand-up comedians, like, whatever was big.
Plus too, well, like if you're cutting off the cable, that also means like they can't watch, like, say if the Super Bowl is coming up, if you cut off their cable, then they can't watch the Super Bowl either, right?
Well, I think back then they could. You could watch the Super Bowl, but believe it or not, if you think about it, even back
years,
they because a lot of stuff was on like a regular NBC or ABC.
You had 310 and whatever,
310 and 29, I think it was, and 50. It was back then. There was really no major fights back then, like February. They always would do it like in like May and November. They did it like different portions of the time. So, I don't really recall ever Tyson ever fighting in February. I mean, maybe he did, I just don't, But the big fights, they normally would have them usually in the early spring and like the late winter. Like the big major fights are usually like 8 to 10 months apart, and they so much revenue. And back then, to go around and sell a fight would take so much. Like nowadays, you post a fight, millions of people get it in seconds. Where back then, to promote something took a whole lot. HBO, remember you used to get you get the book sent to your house with like the channels and like the shows, the books.
Oh yeah, the TV guide.
Yeah, TV guide. Excuse me, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, stuff like that. Where like now they don't do that kind of stuff. So
I
back
think
then,
like one of my pastimes was going through the TV guide and highlighting what I'm going to watch. I'm like, all right, Power Rangers all day on Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, right. So
that was like last week too. I'm like, there we go, Power Rangers Marathon 36, sweet.
That's it. Sure.
That's crazy, dude. That's nuts, man. That's fascinating. I mean, when big events like that, though, they still shake the world, right? Like, obviously, we saw, and it's, I mean, the promotion of it is, that's why, like, you can say what you want about WWE, but as far as promotion goes, no one beats them. They're the best. They promote like son of bitches. So, all right, so let's keep it moving then. So I want to track down, or I want to go over the next one. So you left being a subcontractor for a cable provider, and you went and you were a trash man. Now this is interesting. So you were in Philadelphia. There's a major trash company. We won't say who it is. We all know who they're talking about. Just think of the initials for the Ben Franklin Institute. So, either way, Maliq here worked. Go ahead, Pete.
This is in the city proper, so is this all commercial?
Yeah, I did. I in the suburbs. I was residential.
Either way, Maliq here worked as a trash man. So Maliq, can you kind of explain so people really don't know, like, obviously this is something that, and this is exactly what we want on this show, where I've seen a trash man a million times. Pete, everybody here has seen the trash man at work. They've seen it and smelled the trash trucks, like the whole gimmick. We've all seen it. We've all done it. I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch them like pull the lever, and it would bring up.
I wanted to pull that lever so bad when I was a kid. I was like, "What is that? Let me pull that."
I wanted to pull the lever. I wanted to ride the back. Come on, it was the best, right? So Maliq, can you kind of explain what is a day like, and what's your so can you kind of explain what is a day like as a trash man, and then what was your weekly schedule like?
Oh God, a trash man is got to be the blue collar man job. And I'm telling you that in the sense of, so you got to figure, first of all, you smell like shit all day, right? Like
all day.
I mean, all day. Your sense of smell is gone because everything just blends the same. But I mean, just imagine getting up in the morning, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? You got to get on the truck by 5. And if you're on the back of the truck, you're on the back of the truck, you're riding on the back of the truck with somebody. It's the worst is like, listen, trash you don't take off, right? So when it's raining, it's snowing, the bad weather, you start there throwing trash. It doesn't matter. You don't get tired, right? So the thing about it is people think of trash as it's trash. So to them, throwing trash is like, we just do trash out. Like people don't put trash out neatly. They don't care, right? Go to somebody's house, they got trash inside the can. They got anything and everything inside the can because it's trash to them, right? Bags around it, everything.
Oh, and there's liquid and it's
I mean, you know what I mean? You don't know how many trash cans I've opened up. I opened them up and it could be like deer head or something like you don't even expect to be.
Oh my God.
Everything they throw, they just put it on top of their dead animals because again, to us as Americans, right, the trash is just the trash. So
that's just where it goes. I don't want it in my house.
Right. And like now you see guys come out where like now, I mean, they do have the one-man trucks where they can come out and grab your can and dump it themselves or whatever, which is a lot more convenient, per se. It takes away jobs for the helpers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing, like you throw every can. So if you're out and you got 400 cans a day to throw, you throw 400 cans a day. You know what I mean? It's just, this is what you do. But again, like I said, snowing out, raining out, if it's raining, you're wet in the first 5 minutes of your day, but you got 12 hours of that. Boots
luckily, you're in the Philadelphia area where we never have snow, we don't have hot summers, and it doesn't rain ever.
Never at all. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like Arizona weather all day long.
Yeah.
It's a very brutal job. I just funny before I left there, a friend of mine, actually, he wanted to go out on a Friday. And the thing about it is with the trash, you never know your day. So you can never plan anything because you don't know what's out there, right? When you get out there, you can have 400 cans, or 600 cans that day, but you don't know when you get out there. This like one day a week is a bulk day.
So you don't know if it's going to be a light day or not.
Right. You have no idea. It's like you anticipate it once you know your route. But now,
wait. So hold on. So what do you mean? So I thought the routes are the same. Like because my day is the same to take out the trash. So wouldn't the same guys go on that route every time, or no?
Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, so you have 5 or 6 days, whatever you're running, right? So let's just say Tuesday you're in a particular area. Let's just give Lansdale the area, right? But what I'm saying is that you don't know when you get out on the road, right? You have no idea how much trash is out there, right? So if you start at 5, you got 400 cans. Well, if it's say it's Tuesday and Tuesday's your bulk day, you can get out there throwing cans. Couches out there, everything can be out there. Right? So you're throwing all this stuff, and you don't know what your day is going to be like because houses you have, but you don't know, right? So you can have light days, bulk days, or whatever. Or if everyone's heavy, right? And then you're out, you're throwing all the trash, and you got to go to the dump 3 times in one day. So that's stopping your route, leaving your route, going to the dump, dumping, coming back to the area, doing it all again. Like all the trash doesn't fit in the truck in one day. People don't realize that. Like,
yeah, it's not this magic. It's not like Narnia. You're just pushing the trash further back into this wonderful, magical world.
Right. But people think that. So when you're hitting them levers, that's so you can compact that trash. You can get more and more in. Well, once that trash compactor gets full, no matter where you are. So if you're in Lansdale and the dump place is in
Into the free home of the brave.
Right. Yes. You got to take that dump and take it to Buckingham and drop it off there and come back. You go to dumps are not everywhere, so you got to go to where the dump is, King of Pressure, wherever. So depending upon where you are, you have to go to that.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific dump that you can like? If you work for this trash company, you can only go to this dump. Is that kind of the thing, or can you go anywhere?
Well, you could, but back then, usually the dumps companies had like dump areas they would go to. So if you were in King of Pressure, they have you go to a certain dump, and even if they didn't own it, they had a contract with those dumps or whatever the case may be. But it just depends. And there's nothing worse than being on your route, right? And let's just say you got 40 houses left, right? It's Friday, you want to get done, but you can't put no trash in there. Now you got to.
Happy hour is calling. You're like, I know 4 o'clock. Appetizers are half off and half price drinks, but there's 40 more fucking ounces to go.
Yeah, right. And then you're like, are you serious? Right. So then you got to go back and do that. And like, lunchtime, make everything's a hustle with the trash. You're on the go. Like you'll get in a neighborhood, and like most guys get in the neighborhood, and they won't even get on the truck. They'll just run the neighborhood because it's like it's kind of jump on, jump off, jump on, jump off, jump on, jump. You know what I mean? So it's like, and back then you're throwing every can. Like now, I guess because you put it on the toter, the flip the toter up in the trash, back in the trash truck, it's too much time. You had a strategy of hitting it on your leg, your knee, bumping it on there, putting it on there, flipping it, taking the top, dumping it, putting it back down.
And it was at this time in his life, Maliq realized that he hated Christmas.
Yes. There's nothing worse than Christmas time or after Christmas with the tree stuff. But I'm gonna tell you, man, like if you had a good route, you could rack up tips for Christmas because the people. The tips are there's no better tip gig, I don't think, in the blue collar industry besides obviously in the restaurant business where you get tipped all the time.
Yeah.
Than Trashman, because the Trashman, you think about it, if you really care about your Trashman, you're the person that puts out a bunch of trash. If every house that you get, right, throughout the whole week, every house that you get gives you $10. Now most people give you $50 to $100 bucks, but let's say each house gives you $10, right? You're doing 400 houses a day. You know what I mean? 5 days a week. You know what I mean? You could really kill Christmas. I mean, it really. You could. You know what I mean?
And then you're getting paid up front because you're getting the Christmas money on Christmas, and then it's the next week is when all the trash comes out and.
Right. So the funny part about it, if you notice now, I don't know for you guys, like, but now, like, I know my trash man's name, and every year now, it's funny. The thing to do now is the trash man is you give your customer a card with your name and it's saying, "Thank you for a great season. My name is Noah," or whatever your name is, and they even put like their Venmo or Cash App in there so that you can do, because everything about convenience. So like every year now, they get the companies give them cards with their name in them, and they stick those cards in your trash can so that so around Christmas, December, like right around Thanksgiving, they start giving you and putting those cards on your trash can. So, because I'll see the trash man, but you wave, but now you know their name, you know their Venmo, you know everything about what they're doing. So it's a way for them to make the money. But I don't care what anybody says, man. They don't pay enough, man. They don't.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like being a teacher, right? You just don't pay enough for the aggravation of what you go through in the trash business. Because, like I said, this man, and my buddy had to come help me one time. He wanted to go out. He had to come help me. Literally, I was like, I have like 2 houses left. He wanted to go to high school football game afterwards, and he's like, "Yo, I want to go watch the game." Da-da. So he literally had this trash guy drop him off on my truck. I was so beat. He literally told me to get in my truck. He still does trash to this day. Get in the truck. He finished up route like it was. He just did his whole route and came over, and he just completely embarrassed me. I mean, I couldn't throw another can. I had nothing left. He just ran that route like it was nothing. Just dumped every can in my hand. I mean, some guys are just built for it. They can just do it, man. It's funny because that was back then. I mean, he still runs trash to this day. I mean, you know, it's crazy.
Dude. Do you think there's long-term damage to your sense of smell from that job? Like your buddy who's been running trash that long, like his sense of smell just must be just gone, right?
I would think things would have to clash at some point because like you always smell like a gutter, it's like a real dingy like taste all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like sour.
But do you think it really smelled like that, or do you think it was in your head, or do you think it was the actual smell?
Dude, we've all been in the alley in the summer. On trash day, fucking forget it, man. That's toxic.
Think about it like this, right? So once the trash truck stinks, right? They don't go wash it. Right? So they don't go and get it.
They're not taking it to the car wash, like, all right,
No, I mean you would literally bring like bleach bottle from like your house and just dump it in there just to dilute some of the smell when you're on that truck because you're just tired of smelling the same thing, and then you end up not smelling it. But then you always notice that, like, or at least back then, now it's a little different. But back then, you knew a trash man because you could almost smell the trash coming off the person from their clothes.
Oh, so you could smell other trashmen when they were on work, and you're like, oh, all right, this guy's on the job right now.
Yeah, right. You get home being a trash man, you take your clothes off at the door. I mean, you definitely to the door, you put your clothes, you know what I mean, you wash them right away because I mean, that smell being in your house on a hot day, I mean, going out your you know what I mean, they'll kill you with that kind of smell. I know my wife will.
Yeah, hell yeah. Justifiably so. That's just the worst.
Yeah.
So, man, so I do want to ask, there is a stigma with the trash men and the trash company that they help out a certain section of the population known as organized crime. Have you ever seen or witnessed or heard anything like that with the trash companies? I know.
I was told that another competitor of the company I work for, I think they're controlled by them to a certain degree. I think they have some.
Oh wow.
And then, and which is why they're so big and worldwide the way they are. I have not witnessed it because it's way, way above my pay scale and way above the people that I encounter. But I do know that the money that's funneled from the top down, you know, I think is not completely all legit. But I think it's through and so funneled over that you wouldn't know, but the people who know, they know. I mean, we always say where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So that room. Yeah. From nowhere, that wasn't just made up, and if it was, it would be dead by now. The fact that rumor still lingers that you know, the organized crime still pretty much has the hand in that, and which is why they get certain contracts, and which is why you know, unless you're a township, a lot of things go to a particular company for a particular reason. I would think that's because it's kind of forced to. I don't know that for sure, but I know of it.
I know in Jersey there's a lot more private companies in Jersey too, right? Yeah. So okay, well, we've talked about that enough. Don't want to get whacked. So nice. So okay. So I just want to say, so you're working as a trash man. You wake up at what, 4 a.m. and you got to be on the truck ready to go on the road at 5. Is that how it went?
Yeah, most times we got to do. And then you get on truck at 5, right? And then you leave and you stop at Wawa, get your coffee, whatever, because now you got sound ordinance in most areas where they don't let you go into the neighborhoods till 6 a.m. Right? So
Hold on. Wait. So a sound or so like. Okay. So say like you live in a certain neighborhood, you're not allowed to make a noise this loud until 6 a.m. So a truck, because it's loud, isn't allowed in. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, so you'll go, like, we would go in areas sometime and like we would literally coast to the area. We would dump the trash in the back of the truck. You know, you have your yellow lights on. Now you can't do this kind of stuff. You have your yellow lights on, not even your full lights. And you just dump trash in the truck, but you wouldn't run the compactor or nothing like that because of sound ordinance. So basically you couldn't do it until 6 a.m., but you wanted to get started because you had like a long day. So like Wednesday, like your really long day. And typically that back then Wednesday was your long day because you would do an area where they only got picked up once a week. Right. So back then, you would get like certain companies pick you up twice a week. Right. Now the big thing is they're going to pick you up one day a week. You can put out whatever you want and they're going to charge you a cheaper amount of money. Right. That's what they want to do. Yeah. It was twice a week. So Wednesday, you always be the odd area. You could be somewhere where that area only got picked up once a week. So you go far out from like our area. You would go, like, I'm just using like Buckingham, right? So you would go way out into that area, but you couldn't really start anything until 6 a.m. because they'll call the police on you for the sound ordinance. You can't have any trucks running during this time. So now,
wow,
you're literally sitting at the end of the block and like literally at like 5:59, you're like, okay, boom, you go into the neighborhood. But if you were really,
I want to know who that neighbor is though, like just waiting to call the cops.
Yeah,
like, if he runs that compactor at 6:59 or 5:59, it's done.
It's 5:57, and that bastard just hit the switch for the compactor. Let's call him. Get the fuzz out here.
Yeah,
who's this dude
outside? They would come outside and like scream at you, and you'd be like, "And you're the next house I'm about to pick up trash." Like, really?
Yeah.
It's
like,
amazing.
Bro, I gotta pick up your trash, and you're gonna fucking yell at me?
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, really upset with you.
Oh, dude, how many times did you just want to take their can and dump it in their front yard and say, now you take your fucking trash. Go get your fucking shine box. You know,
the funny thing to do would be, so it was a big ordeal of like putting cans back up on the curb in a certain area. But when you want to be right, you would dump the can, you would just push the can up against the curb. And you know, when you push the wheels back, it hits the curb and it falls over, right? Then they would get upset about that. The company would call you, you'd be like, oh, I put it up there, just the wind must have blew it over or whatever, right? And every week you'll pull the same excuse till they finally caught on. They're like, no. You know what I mean? But that would be like the thing that would drive you crazy, especially if it's a windy day. You know what I mean? If you do it like that, then it'll blow over and then it'll be down the street or something like that. Then they got to go pick it up and stuff like that. You know, it's amazing the things you try to do to get back at people being a trash.
Hey, man, if they're going to be an asshole, it's not like, dude, like, I don't know, how quiet does your neighborhood have to be? Like, I know there's a lot louder shit in my neighborhood at all hours of the night or all hours of the morning that ain't a trash freaking man. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean? Like, that's some bullshit. Those people.
I had the opposite reaction where we live on a one-way street and the trash truck backs up our street. And when sometimes I'll be sleeping and I hear those backup noises. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get the trash out or I'm gonna be in trouble again. Like,
yeah. I mean, my trash guys, I literally hear that I live in a cul-de-sac, so I'll hear them come up and they always hit like the second compactor coming up the block because they're a one-person truck. And like I'll run out there with my cans or whatever, and those guys, you know what I mean? And I know the feeling. Like I literally will like put it up on their thing so they can just dump it in the flip, whatever you put it. I know, like, I'll give you a trick. When you have a trash can, if you have a recycled trash can or a regular trash can, whatever you do, don't put them side by side connected to each other because they have to separate them. So when you put your trash in the street, make sure there's a space between your cans. So if you have 3 cans, like 2 regular and a recycle, put a space in between. So when they go to grab it with the clips, they have to move your other can out of the way. So people put them side by side, like close together so they're touching. But now they have to take their forks and move it apart to get it. It's an extra second. So if they can just come up, clip it, grab it, dump it, and go, it's a lot easier. So it's a little trick for people.
Wow.
So your trash man, put a space between your cans.
I got to go do that now because my shit's out there. I got to do that after this. So wait. So
Matt, we have city trash though. Like it's a whole different ball game for us.
Yeah, city trash. You put it where you can find a spot. You put it there. And they just clean the block. That wouldn't fly out here in the Montgomery County area, whatever. That wouldn't fly. But they come down.
Yeah.
just jump
They
off the
don't
truck,
care.
throw it all in, and keep going. Yeah, for sure.
They don't. Yeah, they don't care. They're
They still,
just all about
they still spray paint their cans with the number of their house in the city. Like, you know, you look
Hell
at,
I've had a trash
Hell
can
yeah.
stolen. You're like, who steals a trash can? Like, but it
yeah,
happens.
you're like, who stole my good trash can? My trash can lid, it closed and open. This thing was open. I don't want this. Like, I'm literally like, I go down a block and I'm like 625, 626. I'm like, oh, they spray paint the house number because that's their can. They don't play no games. Like, they keep it clean.
Oh.
You know what I mean? They got good wheels on there. They don't play it.
Oh, hell, dude, I did this, dude, same exact thing. As soon as I moved in here, I painted all the cans with our number on it. I ain't like, hell no, man. I like, especially too when it's windy, some neighbor will be like, oh, I thought that was my can. Mother, you didn't even have a can last week. Like, now you like, so like, dude, you have to. Hell yeah. Plus, dude, man, if anyone tried to steal my can or the lid too, if you got a detachable lid, freaking kill them. But you gotta do that. It's unfortunate you have to do that, but you know, it's all part of the gig.
Trash is a valuable thing, man. Trash cans. People don't realize that you don't have one. Don't have one and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, you know, like you think it's fine at first, like, oh, I'll just use contractor bags, and then you have that spill, and you're like, you know what? It's the trash juice. That's why you need the can. It's the trash juice.
Yes, exactly. It's
Oh,
the right,
God.
exactly. It's the trash juice. It's
Is
not
there anything worse? Oh.
It's not. It's not.
Ugh. Bro, that's something that, like, on Fear Factor, if they would have had that on Fear Factor, I don't think anyone would have done it. Right? Yeah. I ain't drinking trash juice.
No, I'm not drinking.
Like you have to eat 100 donkey dicks or drink 1 cup of trash juice. Bring on the donkey cum. I'm ready to go.
Let's get donkey dick for sure.
Right. Hey, looks like it's donkey dicks tonight, guys. You know what I mean? I'm not drinking any of that trash juice. Hell
not
no.
At all.
Oh. That's nuts. So, okay. So nice. So then, okay. So your route was, so each day you had a specified route that was your area. You would go there, you wake up at 5, would you drive to where the trucks are at, like the office or the?
Yeah. So I would wake up and I would drive to the base and then, but I wasn't a driver. I was a helper because at that the company I worked for, you had to be 25 because company, you need to be 25 to drive. So even if you had your CDL, you still couldn't drive for them because their insurance company at the time did not let you. So on the back of the truck, like, I'm not doing this for the next 6 years. There's no possible way I'm going to keep doing this for the next 6 years when I can go drive somewhere. But yeah, like you would go there and then you would load up with your driver and you go with your driver. And there's nothing worse than you go to work and your driver's sick. Now you got driving you around who doesn't know, and you're in the back of the camera pointing which direction, telling them to turn because they don't know where to go, where to stop. They don't know what to do because it's not their route, right? So they have no idea what to do. Man. So that's the worst. Like you having a bad day, get a rainy day or a snowy day, and your driver doesn't come in. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Your 8-hour day just became 12 hours just because, right? Yeah.
Oh no, dude, that's a nightmare. So, yikes. So, okay, I want to say this then. So, you were 19 when you started trash, right?
Yes.
Like around then? Okay. Mm-hmm. So, then you started boxing like just before then also, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So, where did you start boxing at? And what did you start at a gym or were you like just training yourself?
So, well, actually, I actually started. I went down Joe Frazier's gym at first.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny. One of the fondest memories, or I should say, the only memory, because they had closed. But I was in there hitting the bag one day, and I not paying attention behind me. And this guy comes up and smacks you in the ass real hard and says, "Get that right hand up, boy, and get knocked out every fucking time." And kept walking. You know what I mean? Like, really, the only memory is him smacking me in the ass, telling me to get hand up, I'm gonna get knocked out every time. That's all he said to me upstairs. And I'm in awe, like, oh, he just told me to get my right hand up. It was really, but so that's where I ended up starting.
Wait, Frazier did that to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Get that right hand up. So
that's right, sir. That right hand is up now. I remember.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
Yep.
On the telephone.
Like somebody like him, keep the right hand up. But so I started there, but the problem was, again, with being on a trash truck, right? You don't know when you're gonna get done. So most gyms in the city, they start at 12, they close at 7, right? If you're not a pro boxer, you're not gonna go pro, you're not paying for personal training, they're not waiting for you. So get off the track 5:30 in Montgomery County, trying to get down to the gym by 6 o'clock or whatever. Listen, if everybody's done, they're out of there. They're not waiting on you. If you're not paying them for personal, they're out of there. So for them, it's more or less about, and you're not getting a bunch of one-on-one work. It's about you want to hit the bag or do this, that, and the other. So you're really going there for the atmosphere, because at that point you look at like nobody's going to work with you. Like I said, if you're not a prospect, because listen, boxing is a poor man's sport. So in reality, guys like that have been training like that, they're not going to keep going and doing things for no reason at all. You know what I mean? That's not what they're going to do. So they're not going to keep saying, oh, I'll stay with you and train you for nothing, because there's nothing in it really for them. You know, they have to look at the sport enough to just do it. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense for them to sit around. So that was one of the hardest. Money comes first. Yeah, money comes in prospects. Money comes first. So, you know, trying to get, that was my first gym. I went down there. And then I went over to James Schuler gym. You know, again, same thing. You know, they close at 7. You're not getting in. It just became very, very difficult.
Well, you're probably also not at your physical best when you're there too. Like after a long day on the truck, getting up there and like throwing, you know, how many hundred of jabs, hooks, like it's got to just kill your arms.
Yeah, I mean, it does. But, you know, a lot of times what I think what people, what they miss with the boxing per se is the atmosphere is more than just going. And I'm not trying to knock a commercial gym or anything like that, but when you're in a commercial gym, the grit of the atmosphere of boxing is not this like pretty thing you see on TV, right? The grind behind totally different. So I think when you're in the atmosphere, when you're in the gym, just being in the gym and hearing that, the pad, the music, the people, the atmosphere, that alone is priceless. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
You can't take that away. You know what I mean? So just going and being in the gym, even if you're doing nothing, like as far as like becoming a pro,
having the temper flare, guys go at it, looks a little bit harder. Just kind of like this is a whole new, it's a man's road. It's a testosterone.
When you see like a true, when you see like a true pro on the mitts, or two guys that are good, that can go really sparring, and like you're kind of just watching from the side, like checking out in a gym where like, you know, there's guys on the bag, there's guys drilling, there's guys on the rope, like all this stuff.
We talked about it.
You really think it's go ahead, Pete.
Just because it was on Pretty Ricky's podcast, we talked about that one time when Matt was sparring with a guy, getting him ready for a fight, and the guy drops Matt with a body shot. There's no, hey Matt, are you all right? It was roll Matt out of the gym. Somebody else get in there. He still has to have his 3 minutes, or
The training didn't stop. So what had happened was, Maliq, is that this is when Renzo Gracie's was at the Hatfield Athletic Club, and there was this guy Joe. He was a prison guard at Greater Ford. He's probably like 6'4", like 260. Pretty solid, and we were sparring. So we had set up a circuit where you're in the ring with me, then you go from being in the ring with me, then you're on the mat with Rich. Then you go from being on the mat with Rich and you're against the wall with Doug. And then you go from there to like you're doing a conditioning drill. Then you go from there, you're doing pad work, and then like whatever, right? So I'm like, we're going through the circuit. And we had gone through it the first time, and I remember I had smoked Joe with this like left hook, and I like crushed him, right? And I was like the first time going through. And then the second time going through, we came back around, and I guess he remembered. And so like he was pressing on me, we were against the ropes, and I came with this this heavy right hand. And he went under it, and he hit me with a body shot. And bro, it was like, I was like, huh, oh no, you know how it is. And I was like, God damn it. Yeah. And then they were like, we can't break up the rhythm of the circuit. Pete,
we don't want to stop the clock.
You finished the round, you know. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So that's how that went. So the body shots are the worst. But so. All right. So either way, so let's keep this moving. So that was some fascinating stuff about the trash route, man. Really, thanks a lot for sharing. And that's like an industry that we really haven't been able to get into yet. And that's kind of like a close off thing. You don't see many trash men. Like, at least I haven't talked to many. I wish I could talk to more. All right, fans, time for breaking the action to bring back one of our favorite segments. This is Give It a Shot with our good friend Bob Quinn. If you're sick of wasting time surfing on a streaming service and finding nothing, then going to another streaming service and doing the same damn thing, then you need to start giving shit a shot. On this segment, Bob Quinn will give us some suggestions on what to watch so you stop wasting time surfing and start enjoying those subscriptions that you're stealing. Bob, give us a shot.
Coming at you today with the new one, Eurovision, on Netflix, featuring Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams, Pierce Brosnan, Mr. 007 himself, with a runtime about 2 hours and 3 minutes. This movie's just fun, everybody. What I'm saying is, give it a shot.
All right, that was Give It a Shot with our good friend Bob Quinn. Now, back to the show. So now I want to move on from you worked from being a trash man to now you're a contractor for the post office. Is that right?
Correct.
So, okay, so can you kind of explain what was your job here? So what were your responsibilities with this job, and like what kind did you provide to the customer? Like what kind of things were you providing to the customer? So go ahead.
All right, so being a contractor for the post office is a little different, right? So residential, your mailman comes around, the mail truck, right? They put the mail in your mailbox, right? But behind the scenes, what people don't know is the bulk of the mail is actually moved by contractors. So basically, when you get your mail and put it in the mailbox and they collect your mail, right? Or you put your mail at the post office, right? There's contractor trucks that come to the post office and they have big, huge carts, right? And they dump first class mail in something, second class, whatever, and they push that onto the back of a truck and they take that all the way down to distribution, which would be 30th Street Station, Southeastern or whatever, and they distribute it from there, right? They break it apart. So they have runs throughout the day. So, you'll run in the morning from like 6 a.m. to like 9 a.m. Then like around 12, they call it a hot run. That'd be like if you say something like priority, right? And you're like, oh, it'll get there in 2 days, whatever. Well, the reason why I can get there is because a contractor's coming, picking it up from Lansdale Post Office in the middle of the day. They're running it down. They're moving it faster. Like, so the first class mail gets moved a certain way, then priority mail, so on and so forth. So when they do that, they have, it's called a hot run. So a hot run would be, every post office would say like every day at 12, right? You're going to have a hot run. So if you get there between 9 a.m. and 12, they can tell your mail's going to get there the next day because you've made it before then. If not, if it's after 12, that's when they'll say it'll get there in 2 days. So that's how they can predict when it's going to get there because of the time you drop it off, the mail is going to go out. But that's not, the post office is not the people who are actually picking that up. Now, they do come and do that, but it's so much mail that they bid out contracts, and bidding out the contract is companies come in, they're like, listen, we're going to basically pick up the mail. So like Lansdale Post Office, right? There's a contract. Yes, there's a contractor who comes there and picks up a bulk of their mail and takes it down to where it needs to go. It's actually, it's a very sweet job, to be honest with you, being a contractor. Because you're not, most stuff's on wheels, right? You're just pushing it on the back of the truck. You're off from the post office to the next, picking up the stuff, taking it down, right? So back then, even contractors, it paid good money back then. Even back then, God, I was paying like over $20 an hour. I'm talking like back then, education.
Oh, damn.
That's right. Now,
is that considered a government job, or is it like government adjacent?
No, this was to keep pension costs down, I'm guessing, but
yeah, I'm sure, and benefits too, right? Because you're not
exactly.
They paid you what I consider back then for blue collar. They paid you top dollar because they paid for your benefits. They weren't paying for your pension, right? So companies were actually paying you for that stuff or whatever. But the downside to it is, if you work split shift, which I can't stand. I can't stand working like 6 to 9 and then coming back at 2 to like 4, right? Because
when your day's done, you want your day to be done.
Yeah.
Yes. I lived in Hatfield and it was in Southeastern. So I would go from in the morning, go down there. And then if I had a run between 6 and 9, but then had a hot run at 12, then in reality, I'd have to stay there, sleep in my car, because by the time I would get done, drive to Hatfield and then drive back, it wouldn't. Right? So if you got done at 9, your hot run's at 12. You're literally sit in your car in your truck, you sleep there until the next run. 4 o'clock, so really the day was so long because again, you're either sleeping in your truck or in your car, or whatever, waiting for the next run.
Oh, that's the worst.
Sometimes you would have a good whereas though you'd be like the hot run, like 12 o'clock run, and then the 4 o'clock run. So you would kind of get a straight way through. But most times you had the morning one because now, mind you, you're taking the mail to the post office too and dropping it off, right? So in the morning, right, they take it to the post office. They take it in. They sort all the mail. They put it in the cubbies for each of the post office people. Then they put it together, put it in their back to truck, and send it out. So you have to go and drop it off in the morning and bring it back in the afternoon. You know what I mean? So the job, and it's a lot of pressure with time because behind in time, right? So if you got to be there by 12 o'clock, you can't get out of the yard later than what you're supposed to because you're behind 12:05, whatever. Like you're messing up the time frame. So it was like being like a UPS guy. Like the time be there, but it was I mean, it was a job that honestly I would probably kept that. If that job was a straight 8-hour job, straight all the way through. Do that job, you know, no matter how old you are, because again, it's not physically taxing; it's more mentally because you're just like, oh my god, I got to sit here and do. What am I going to do? But somebody like going to school or something, they could. It would be great for them because they could do school.
What were the years you were doing it? So like it's not like you could during this break that would happen from 9 to 12, it's not like you could pull out your cell phone and watch YouTube or whatever. Like you're legit just sitting there twiddling your thumbs like fuck, come on, right?
Yeah. I mean the phone, I mean, heck, I mean, you gotta figure that was before even the regular like Razor flip phones. I mean, you're talking you know, remember back when you were texting 1 2 3 1 1 3 3. You know what I mean? Like the before that. You know what I mean?
I guess I'll read Sports Illustrated again.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, you take books, and the problem with reading and books in the trucking industry is, you know, books most times relax most people, right? So you don't want to relax, and then you don't want to drink tons of coffee and be wired and can't relax. You know what I mean? So you're like kind of stuck in between of like, what do you you know what I mean? You run away.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I said, your time to me is money, right? So anytime you're literally working. If you're sitting for 3 hours, you're not home, you're not free. So you're literally working, paid for that time. You know what I mean? You're sitting around getting paid.
And then
so that $20 an hour seems nice, but when you spread it over the hours that like you're technically not working really, but you are.
Exactly. You're not. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, like now I think it's a little different. I know they have a little bit more consistency, like with the guys that do.
Well, they got to keep up with Amazon and shit too.
Exactly.
Now, so.
Right. So now it's, you know, the post office, the competition is so ridiculous, and we're such a immediate gratification country. Whereas though, when you want it and you can get it tomorrow, I mean, you got to keep up with the time. So someone like Amazon or someone puts the post office under so much pressure of just. You know, having to get things there and reasonable amount of money and time, you know, it's a lot. I mean, they really changed the industry as far as like the mail industry for sure.
Now people get packages delivered from Amazon. The amount of time it took us to download that one tit back in like 1997.
By the time you get to the nipple, you've already you ordered it at noon and it's here by 7, and you're like, oh man, I'm not even the lower part of the nipple yet. This is great.
And within 2 hours, tomorrow, you're like, okay. You have no idea. You probably had 10 hours to order, but they put you in the window saying there's 3 left, and if you order the next 2 hours, it'll be here tomorrow. You're like, click, I need it. I'm gonna be
Dude, that's honestly, that's the first thing I look at when I'm ordering something is the price, obviously, but the delivery also.
The Prime,
if it's delivered that day, but now that that's the secret though. If you're not, if they say it'll be delivered that day, but it's after 12, then they're fucking probably lying to you. Right? If you order before noon, you have the hot run, but usually the hot run is they're probably lying to you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they give you time frames, and it depends on what's distribution is coming out of and where they got it coming from. So there's so many different ways and cycles the way they do things or whatever. But to them, it's like if it's in stock and it's in a warehouse and in an area they can get it to you, that becomes prime, right? So now when you put prime, it's like, oh, I can get this right away. And the other ones, they have it in the warehouse, but the warehouse is, you know, a couple states over, a couple days to get to you. So then they give you a week or whatever to get to you. I mean, they do an excellent job in making sure that they get you where they can get you. You know what I mean? I've actually studied a lot about Amazon, but just the way they do their marketing scheme and their marketing skills are just unbelievable. I mean, so
they're top notch, man. They're number one for a reason.
Yeah, they changed.
That's my wife. She works for an online retailer. She's a recruiter. She's always stealing warehouse people from Amazon.
Yes, exactly. Really? Right. Yeah. Because I mean, you know, big wigs make the money. You know what I mean? I think now Amazon. I'm not lying. I do have a friend who works for Amazon, and listening to him, I think Amazon is like the new trash company. Like it's such a hustle. I mean, literally, you have packages and you have a time frame to be there and get it to them. And you know, if you don't get your Amazon package the next day, you're supposed to. It's a problem. I mean, you're really.
That's why they have those the pee jugs, right? Where like people are scared to go to the bathroom because they have to fill up their order so fast, so they're just peeing in jugs and leaving them throughout the warehouse.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. So, damn. So okay, so that being said, we're gonna talk more about that later with your other ventures, Maliq. But I want to get into this now. So so this kind of almost led you into, because this is, I mean, you're a contractor for the post office, but you're literally delivering mail, right?
Correct.
So that kind of got you into your next job, which was, Pete, do you know Rosenberger's Deli or Rosenberger's Dairy? Sorry, Dairy.
Absolutely. So that's some fine iced tea they serve there.
You're damn right. Fucking a Rosie, dude, a half-gallon Rosie's was the gimmick. That was a must-have every day. So our boy Maliq here was a delivery driver for Rosenberger's Dairy. So Maliq, what was this like? What time would you have to be there? What was the route like? Can you kind of explain, like, how did this work?
Yeah. So first of all, Rosenberger's Dairy, when it was owned by the Rosenbergers themselves, it was an unbelievable company. I will tell you, you didn't get paid much of nothing. But I mean, as far as taking care of you, I mean, there's not a company that I don't think that ever personally took care of you the way they took.
That's awesome.
I mean, they really took care. I had a great boss back then too. I mean, they really, really, like, I used to tell him, I'm like, I need to work 55 hours a week in order to make my bills. So he actually literally put me on 11, like, make sure I got 11 hours a day to work, to make sure, like, they made sure you could do, you see nothing more.
And it's how many years later, and you're still singing their praises. We've brought this up before in other episodes. If employers are loyal to their employees, then the employees will be loyal back. Yeah. Right? Like that, like,
it's a two-way street.
Yeah, exactly. Don't fuck them, don't disrespect them, and be loyal. Then the loyalty will be returned. I truly believe that. So you're waking up. What time did you have to be at Rosenberger's in the morning? Just
for that particular milk, when in reality, it's the same exact milk. You just don't know it's the same exact milk. But there's no difference. It's just they had the contract, the package, Clemens milk. And then Clemens would up their price of their milk because they're like, oh, we got a premium milk. This is better than just say Giant or whatever the case may be, right? Another company. But they did it. So, but I was on a B-class truck, was like a straight truck. Basically, I would go. You would have a route, and you actually have the same stops every day, every of the week. So if you had Clemens, if they had a delivery every Monday, you had the same Clemens, the same this, that every day. So you knew when you went into work, you wouldn't know how much milk it would be, but you knew how stops you were going to go to, what time you had to be there, whatever. So you dealt with the same people, the same receivers, the same, you know what I mean? So it was like a very repetitive job that you would do over and over again. All the little gas stations that got like the Rosenberger's iced tea and stuff back then, you know what I mean? Like burgers, I mean, got to be like Wawa now. Like Wawa's like just like big, but like Rosenberger's was like the Wawa of like back then. Like when you went to the gas station, Rosenberger's iced tea was sitting on the shelf. If you didn't have Rosenberger's iced tea, it's like you don't carry Rosenberger's iced tea. Like in this area, if you didn't carry Rosenberger's iced tea, like you were like the worst. Had to have.
Why even? Yeah.
That was like for our city listeners. That's like Arctic Splash in the city's the iced tea. Like if you don't have Arctic Splash, get the hell out of here.
Arctic Splash.
Yeah. How dare you, right? So that's I mean, for Rosenberger's, they were a well-known company, especially out here. Like I said, I think for the company itself, and I think the way they advertised themselves as being this premium company, and I think treating their employees a certain way. Again, not always about the money, but I think they did that so that they could actually perceive themselves as being this company that takes care of people. So people looked at that family business of like, oh, I'm going to buy from them because they take care of their people, right? They presented it that way, right? They very down to earth people. You know what I mean? The one owner lived right across the street from the dairy. He'd walk over, he'd see you, he'd speak to you. They gave you free food when you worked there anyway. Like when I used to deliver down to the little dairy wagon, right? I would deliver in there.
Yeah.
And then it's funny. He would say, "I'll pay for that today," and I would laugh, and I'd say, okay, you know what I mean? But like, they give you ham for Christmas, for, you know what I mean? They, like I said, their biggest thing was giving you a double bonus Christmas check, like the second week of December every year, whatever. Again, like $500 check, but you're like, at the end of the year, you're like, yo, you're scrounging for like, pay your bills or whatever.
Oh yeah.
The check was always great. You know what I mean? They made sure they paid you back then. They paid you every week because I think a lot of us younger people didn't manage money right. So like every week they paid you on Thursday, so your money was in there on Friday. I mean, just little things that they just did, little perks.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely a good company to work for.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man. And like you get that from those mom and pop shops, and it's a shame that you don't see more of that. But I mean, business is what it is, you know. So that's how it works. So okay. So that being said, glad to hear that, because I've always been a fan of Rosenbergers, and it would have broke my heart if you were like, those rat bastards fuck me every way from. You know,
those are good people, man, for sure.
Nice. Okay, so let's keep it moving. So now you stuck with the delivery thing, and you've been doing this. You've been working here for the last 20 years, right? You've been delivering beer for a major brewer distributor, right? A major alcohol distributor, right? For the last 20 years. We won't say the name. And you've been delivering kegs and cases and all kinds of gimmick for 20 years. So
I know I like this guy, Matt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's definitely, we can smell our own there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So what is a day like in the life now? So what time do you got to wake up? What time you got to be at work? What's your shift like? What kind of things you doing on your shift? And then when are you done? Can you kind of hit us with that?
Yeah. So I wish I could make this sound a lot more interesting, but I've been there so long. I have it like perfect. I go in at 8:30. I work like banker hours. I go in at 8:30. Yeah, my company, you know, they're a great company, and my truck's already loaded, everything like that. So I pretty much go in, grab my paperwork, I hop in my truck, and I go out on my route. I deliver to, you know, all the Bluebell, Norristown, and Oaks area. That's my main route, right? So it's
that's a nice, sweet gig, right?
Yeah. So I go out and I deliver to all the major, you know, liquor companies. Beer. Excuse me. It's not liquor, it's beer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Any place that sells beer, we deliver it to, right? I think it's like 540 accounts in like Montgomery County alone itself, right? So we deliver it to all of them, and there's 3 major big companies that deliver out and you know, pretty much run Pennsylvania per se. But I work for one of them. But yeah, I go out and deliver. I mean, again, like, you know, 160-pound kegs, you're lugging up and downstairs.
Jesus.
So but you get used to it. I mean, in the beginning, it's like, oh my God, is it ever going to end or whatever? I can tell you, being there this long, the kegs have not gotten any lighter. I learned how to handle them so that they're, you know what I mean? But they don't, like, when I pick up a keg, it still feels like 160 pounds. I just know how to lift it with my legs, and I've leveraged it in such a way that I don't feel it anymore. But if I ever make a mistake, get a little ballsy and just try to pick up a certain way, it reminds me that who's the boss.
Well, so Pete doesn't know this because we're on virtual, but Maliq, you're a tall guy. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
6'3".
Right,
So Pete, you're 6'3". So when you're lifting up, right, like your back, especially if you weren't doing it right at first, your back just had to be on fire, like sometimes when you're lifting up. Is that
it's one of those things where you get the kegs, you can have a guy that starts and you'll be looking at me like, listen, if you lift 2 more kegs like that, your day is gonna end today. Like your first I'm just telling you, this is not about how strong you are. I'm telling you, this keg wins every time. I'm telling you, this is where all about working smarter, not harder. Do not try to impress me. I don't care. But you weigh 160 keg. Stop. I weigh 208. Keg beats me every single time. Just stop, right? So
Maliq, I went to Drexel University. You know, we had a little party house, and I always thought we were badass when we would have parties because we'd roll up, you know, 6 kegs in hand, and we would each grab a keg ourselves, muscle carried into the house. But 3 weeks ago, I threw out my back when I sneezed. So I know that that's not a career for me, carrying kegs full time.
I actually, it's funny, a really quick story. So there was a kid one time, I'm telling you, this kid had to be about 130 pounds, right? And he bet me that he could pick up the keg and walk it across the parking lot of a restaurant to his car. So I'm like, this kid's gonna do it. Like, no way possible. And I'm talking, it was a long parking lot. So the kid goes and picks the keg up. He picked it up. I was like, there's no way he's gonna make it. Don't you know this son of a bitch picked the keg up and walked? He couldn't put it down. He had to pick. He couldn't. This kid picked this damn keg up and walked it clearly across the whole car, right? So now I'm mortified because I'm like, oh my God, I can't really give him the keg, right? Because it goes to this particular company.
Yeah.
What do? But it must have been a grace. By the grace of the Almighty, man. Some girl was like, he's not 21. I'm like, yes, You can't.
Legally not allowed.
Yo, it was like a God gift. Like, yo, I owe this company. I mean, the particular restaurant, they were getting 6 kegs. I'm like, what am I going to say? I lost the keg. Like, what do you say, right? And then
how do you lose a keg?
Yeah, he's like screaming like, yeah, I got a keg. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating bullets. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to say? You know what I mean? Whatever. And the one girl was like, he's 21. And I'm like, oh my God. Sorry, buddy, you can't. Like, I can buy you a soda, but you can't take the
ID, sir. ID for the bet.
Yes, yeah, so I learned a valuable
Yeah, you're like,
lesson.
not only can you not have the keg, but gambling's illegal too. Get out of here before I call the cops. You
Exactly. Yeah. Which I learned a valuable lesson. Do not bet anyone when it comes to beer, because the good they really want it, they're gonna beat you for it. You know what I mean?
Dude, that kid was probably like in his mind every step. He's like, I'm gonna bring this to the party. I'm gonna be the hero of the house party. I'm gonna get a girl to like me. Like all these things, and he's carrying that thing. Man, that
would have been quite funny for him to get the keg. But the funny part was, I'm thinking like,
how the hell's he gonna open it?
Yeah, you don't have a tab. Like, I mean, listen, I'm sure he would have found one. You got this particular big keg.
Where there's a will, there's a way. You know.
Yeah, it's 7.5 cases of beer and a half keg of beer. There's 7.5 cases of beer in there. So quite frankly, in there. So they'll find a way. They'll get somebody that has a tap somewhere. Say, listen, I'll let you drink all night if you just get the tap. Somebody will find one for sure.
I also had friends one time. There was a party at some house at Drexel, and it was winding down, and my friends were jerks, and they decided to steal the keg that was out there. So the keg's like 3/4 full. They get it back to their apartment building, but the apartment building was part of Drexel. So there was security, so they couldn't walk it through because they weren't 21. So they took a bunch of Christmas lights, went through them on the 3rd floor balcony, tied it to the keg, and just shimmied up there with the Christmas lights. Yeah.
Wow.
So
do anything for it.
Where there's red-blooded young American men and beer, they'll figure out a way to drink it.
Jesus Christ, that is hilarious. Yeah, well, God bless them. Hey, they earned it in that case. Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So nice. All right. So you wake up, you got your sweet deal, like you've mapped it out. Like, do you talk to the people on your routes? Like, you've probably seen them for a year, and I'm sure the routes change, like businesses open and close and whatever, right? But like, do you see like a lot of the same people over the years, and they know you at the place?
I've actually got in trouble with my job for talking too much. Go figure, right? Like every place I go to, they get a 10, 15-minute conversation from me. It's funny. I don't pay for food. You don't pay for drinks because everyone, everyone, you take care of them. It's a very give and take. Like who doesn't like the beer guy, right? The beer guy, you need the beer for your party or whatever. So who doesn't want the beer club, right? So that guy's always got to be the guy, right? Like so. I mean, you don't pay for much. People take care of you. And the other thing about it is, like, even like in my area, so if a bartender, for instance, leaves one bar, most likely they're going to a bar in the same area. So if they're not working this place, right, it's like, oh, hey, how are you? Do you see them another place, right? Because because in reality, they're not going that far if they live in the area. They're going to go where they get a better crowd to make better money or whatever, or manage to move amongst other restaurants and so on and so forth. So like, I've been around the same people for this amount of time, it's 18, 19 years or whatever. I've been around the same amount of people. So you see the same people all the time. I guess the cooks may change from one chef to the next to another place or whatever. But be honest with you, those are the guys that love you. Like those guys behind, like you don't see, those chefs are guys. Those are guys you come in, they take care of you. You want to eat, you're in there. Hey, you want a cheesesteak? You get cheesesteak on the way out. Or hey, I got pizza. It's too well done. They're not going to sell it. Hey, take this home to the kids. I mean, it's. Of how much the people take care of you.
Yeah, that's the old world shit you love, man. Like good people being good with good people. Like that's fucking great to hear that still happens. Because I would do that shit all the time, right? Like when the beer guy would come, like I always would talk to him, and be like, "What's up, man?" Because you got to check, make sure it's like everything here, kind of thing. You trust them, like inventory, make sure it's all paid. Like, hey, man, here's some fried raviolis or whatever the fuck it is, like. And they were like, your dude, or like you give him a drink, because legit, every stop you're at, Maliq, is legit like a fucking workout, right? Like tell everybody to drive every 20 minutes you drive, you got to deadlift 160 pounds, like 5 times.
It's definitely a hard, definitely a very physical and taxing job. But like I said, it's one of those blue collar jobs where like, you know, people drink when they're happy, they drink when they're sad, they drink just because, they drink for whatever. So like, there's always work, right? So like when people see me, they're happy to see you, right? And then the owners are happy. And like I said, for most of the mom and pop places, because there are a lot of mom and pop bars where there's a lot of franchises, but those places like that, you'll go in there, man, especially if you've been around a long time. Like I go in places and I already know, like, Tuesday, don't even think about eating before 12, because when you get to this stop, they're feeding you whatever you want. And I'm not talking like just a slice of pizza. I mean, like, you know, cheesesteaks and so on and so forth. There was a stop in East Norton that it was actually like an Asian lady owned the stop, and this lady was unbelievable. So literally, she had a buffet, and I delivered her beer, and she had a bunch of kids, so she didn't want to throw away food. And I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. Every Friday when I went in there, this lady, I would go in the afternoon. She'd always tell me, come in the afternoon. She would get upset with me if I came earlier. So in the afternoon, after the buffet, because they had to clean it off for dinner. So the lunch buffet, she literally would take everything on the buffet that was not sold, box up and give it to me. I'm talking,
oh my
I'm talking shrimp
God.
fried rice enough to feed like 20 people, chicken wings.
Oh,
like,
come on.
I mean, the lady, and the lady didn't want a single nothing. All she asked you to do was like, just pray for me. Like literally. Like,
oh my God,
I mean,
dude,
like,
that's
really,
awesome.
my kids,
So that
my
what Malik
kids-
doesn't tell you is he get home, enjoy the buffet by himself, and tell his kids, go make something for yourself.
Yeah. It's so funny because like my kids, like they would say things like, "What happened to the Chinese food?" And I'm like, you know, they closed the family. Unfortunately, one of her husband that passed, unfortunately, so business down. But she's one of them kind of people like where like you can't even believe that someone is actually this generous. You know what I mean? And she's like, "There are choices." She's like, "I give it to you, and you utilize it." She goes, "Or I disperse of it in a way of getting rid of it." And, you know, she goes, "And I feel like giving it to you is worth it." But I mean, literally, she was very over the top with what she gave me. But like I said, every place I go to, I mean, if I want something, everyone actually wants something to eat. You know what I mean? And like, you know, nowadays, you know, hoagie chips and the soda's $10, right? And they hand it to you like, you know what I mean? And they're doing it on a weekly basis, right? And I don't even need my wallet when I go to, you know, always eat somewhere. I can route my day where it's like, I can get breakfast here. I know when they get there, they have coffee. They're going to have this. They're going to I mean, that's why I stayed on the route
Like,
for so
heads
long.
up, do not let your wife listen to this podcast or she's never going to let you order a cheesesteak again.
No. She's supposed to join me too. And she went downstairs. She went downstairs, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna let her go down there because she hears about all the stuff that all the perks that I get.
She's gonna be like, why are you bringing shit home from me then?
Yeah.
What do you mean you want a cheesesteak? You get a cheesesteak every goddamn Wednesday when you go to McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah.
And I keep complaining, like, babe, I can't lose any weight. You know, I've been low carbon all day long.
Look, I got this low carb, low maintenance doing wonders.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is, babe. It's just, I don't know. I'm eating right, you know. I don't cheat. Yeah.
I always tell my high blood pressure is my medical. Blame my parents. It's not me. I swear.
Dude, that's the best. Dude, I'll tell you what though. That Chinese lady, that is like, she knew you had a big family. Like, that's just that kind of shit, man. That's a true like an angel. Like, what a sweet, and like, dude, and like her options, like, throw away or help this guy get food to his kids. Like, what the fuck? Like, there is no option in her mind in that scenario, and there shouldn't be.
Upset with me if because a couple of times I felt like she was being too generous, and you're kind of like, no, I don't want it. And she, you know, it was, and in their culture, you know, it's very difficult to turn down things, right? And I learned that about even like some of my Italian restaurants, like when they offer you, it's a sign of love and gesture.
An insult, yeah. Like it's almost like insulting them,
Right. And I had to learn. My mom was like, you don't do it to people. So she would get upset with me. I would say, no, it's too much, and then she explained to me that no, it's not. She goes, I want to give it to you, and the fact that she went out of her way the way she did, and it was a consistency. Like if I had to go there sometimes in the morning because it just made sense of my route. You know, she would, well, you got to come back later. You got to come back, you know. So, I worked at a beer store over there in East Norton part-time. My buddy owned a store, and she knew I was there. So a lot of times even she would close the store where they would close at 9, and we closed the beer store at 9:30, and she would even bring food and just drop it off and just say, hey, you know, I mean, like I said, I mean, she's a woman to this, that her other restaurant that her family owns, they don't get beer there. So I haven't seen her in quite a few years, but she's one of them ladies that like I would have to take her and literally like take my kids and be like, this is the lady right here. And, like weeks and weeks and weeks with not even an ounce of wanting anything. That was the most important. Never wanted a favor. It was never like, just for me, I'll do it for you. It was just kind of like, here, no, you take it.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
dude,
she was very
incredible.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
absolutely that's great to hear too. And it's not like the best thing is it's like the world's coming together because like you're a black man, she's a Chinese lady, like you're just doing your jobs, but she doesn't see it like that. She sees people helping people, and that's the way it should be, and that's phenomenal. So that's a great story. So I want to do this though. We're coming close to the top of time. You are doing some shit right now. I want to promo all your stuff you're doing. You're doing great things. Hit us with it. So we got the gym, we got the clothing line, hit us. Go right down the line.
Cool.
What do you got?
All right, cool. So I have a gym, King's Corner, which is where I train people, small groups or one-on-ones, a lot of one-on-ones, small groups or whatever. Basically the fundamentals of the real, I call it the real boxing, which is not commercial, right? Same thing like you do, right? Teaching people actually boxing itself. You get the card from the boxing, but I'm teaching you boxing from the ground up, right? I tell people boxers are from the feet up, fighters from the hands down, right? So I'm teaching you if you want to know how to box, you know what I mean? This is where you go. I have a guy here.
The sweet science, the real stuff.
Yes, the sweet science. That's just, I tell people I'm a boxing trainer with a coach. I'm not a fitness instructor. It's two different things. You know what I mean? But don't come to me if you're looking just to lose weight. You're going to lose weight by default, but it's not the objective. You know what I mean?
You're changing lives with what you're doing. You're like part of what we'll do when we teach people boxing is we instill a confidence in themselves that they can accomplish a goal, but also that they're learning to defend themselves and having confidence in themselves. It's really like you're installing life lessons when you're teaching these things. And it could be at any age, you know, like when you're teaching these people these different skills and these different things, boxing is a science and it's a legit different way of thinking about your life, you know, and it really like it's a struggle to do it, but you build confidence. Like I can take a punch. I can survive the workouts and the rigorous training. I can put my body can do a lot more than I thought it could previously. Right. And then like, you're also knowing now, like if something were to happen to my family or my friends or something like that, I'm not scared. I can protect them and I know what I'm doing and I'm like safe about it. That's all something you're instilling in people of all ages. And it's very, very valuable and it can't be understated. And like you're saying, it's not no fitness bullshit. This is real shit. This is real stuff. And dude, I've seen it in action and you do a great job. Very, very, very good job. So
I want to teach people that. So I want to teach people. I say like one of my biggest thing is, you know, I tell my kids, like, I want to put you in a position where if it's 50 kids at the school and they're all like, hit them. And I'm like, listen, you need to have enough self-confidence that nobody by words can get you to punch them. Like if someone can get you to hit them off of words, you've been defeated, right? They beat you, right? Maybe all the time by words. I'm like, who cares what they call you, what they say, right? You have enough confidence that you can protect yourself, you can walk away. So I'm like, you don't want to be bullying into doing something. So teaching kids, saying like, listen, don't worry about that. The fact you can protect yourself, you can walk away and don't feel like less of a man. Because nothing's worse than the person here. They act out in a different way. So teach people that confidence of being able to do that, whether it be men, women, so on and so forth, or whatever. Difference between knowing how to box and defend yourself and the reaction of just fighting and getting out of the way, right? Just two different things. The boxing, the confidence we teach people, like yourself, Matt, we teach people is just totally different than what people understand.
It's an interesting dichotomy in this sense. Like when you're learning how to box, you're learning how to fight. Like the confidence almost makes it so you're less likely to fight because you know what I mean? Like you don't take every little slight as personal as you would have before. Like you're kind of like, okay, like, you know, I know how to handle myself. I walk a little bit more confidently and like things annoy you less and people notice it too. So they're going to, you know, not mess with it as much. And then if something does happen, you know that you have the skills, you know, behind it. You put in the work to defend yourself.
Yeah, you don't hear much about boxers getting in, and you don't hear much about. I mean, there are some instances, but for the most part, you rarely hear about a boxer beating up somebody, right? Because the point, like, what you have nothing to prove at that point, right? You don't prove to some guy that I'm tough and I can defend myself. Because quite frankly, hey, maybe you can beat me, but I always tell people, at the end of the day, if you hit me, you have a fight on your hands, right? But if you don't, we can argue and fight and disagree and go about our business, but I don't have to physically hit you in order to get my point across, right?
The thing I tell people now is like, I don't hit people without getting paid for it anymore.
Exactly.
I don't fight for free anymore. I did that enough. Like we've done enough where I don't have to fight for free anymore. So I'm not going to do it. A second thing I did want to bring up about what you're saying, especially for the young kids. We had someone on the show last week, and the person we had on the show went away to prison, maximum security penitentiary, for second-degree manslaughter for something occurred while in a fight at a party in college, right? And it's exactly what you're saying, where he said it. He says he regrets every day not walking away. You know what I mean? So like, and it's not like you're not a coward for walking away. If you got some loudmouth spouting off of you, if he wants to swing and if he wants to go, defend yourself.
He wants to chase you down, kind of. But yeah, you know,
if they're trying, if they put their hands on you and you have to defend yourself, by all means. I'm not saying that, but you're trained in discipline, right? If there's a discipline, you're not starting fights and you're not out there starting fights for other people. You're no one's security, right? That's all bullshit, right? Like you need to worry about like yourself, because I'll tell you this, and Maliq, you would agree, when boxers do get in trouble for fighting, right, the judges do not take it easy. They make a point to throw the book at you, and they will. So that's something we tell all our kids that, and we don't like, and if there's a kid in our gym, and I've said this on shows before, if there's a kid that comes into our gym that we catch like fighting in school or fighting in the streets, and he's like a protagonist, he's out. You know what I mean? Like we don't tolerate that bullshit. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't have to, because we're teaching you what we're teaching you isn't to go out and pick on people. It's to be able to defend yourself and your loved ones, and like, you know, instill confidence in you that you shouldn't have to do that stuff.
It's a love of the sport. The sport itself is great. You know what I mean? Like the discipline, like all the lessons you learn from it. Like, you know, that's all you really need.
Yeah,
agreed.
So I do that, and I'm working on. So myself, my buddy Jeff, and Dominic, we are actually putting together a nonprofit called Momentum. And this is
great.
We're putting together where it's actually going to have a boxing gym, a culinary school, a music studio, an art studio. So basically, we're taking, you know, right now you don't have these places where kids can go. Like you have the Boys and Girls Club, but this is like a more intimate place where like we actually would go in and work with the kids, go to the IEP meetings, be involved with things, teach people about hygiene and interviewing. I mean, kids nowadays can't look in your face and talk to you because it's so like computers, so on and so forth. So we're setting that up, and we're privileged to have gotten that started.
Like where did it go that like those same kids you're talking about that can't even make eye contact to you and have a conversation, but the same ones that'll try to rip you apart online. You know what I mean? Like that shit, that's got to go. That's one lesson that you have to teach people. It's like, if you're willing to say it online, you should be willing to say it to the person's face. You know what I mean? Like that, you should do that. Like, I don't know. If you have those type of opinions, some of the shit that they say online should never be said to anybody ever, because it's just so disrespectful. But a lot of it's reaction stuff and kids being stupid kids. And I was that way when I was a dumb kid. Okay, we're coming to the top of time here. What about the clothing line? Let's hit that up.
So I basically I've invested in a clothing line out overseas, and a partner of mine over there, Shammy, we've come together with this concept, and basically we're doing some fitness apparel, the KC brand that we're doing, and it's
not 90s clothes, not 90s clothes.
Now, but men, women, and children, we're making a lot of their, you know, the fitness apparel between leggings and tights, sports bras, boxing stuff, gloves. We're moving into like soccer balls and basketballs, so on and so forth. So a lot of big things coming, man. You know, a lot of big things coming.
Where are people able to order the clothes? Like, where can they find this stuff?
But it'll be on my Casey, my kingscornerboxing.com. That's where it'll end up.
When we air this episode, for everyone listening, there'll be a link to all of Maliq's every for the gym, for everything he's doing. There'll be a link to all his stuff in the description of this episode. Absolutely. Of course, man. Of course. Hey, I can't wait to do a design and order my fucking Working Perspective podcast merch from there, baby. That's where we're getting it from, you know? Shit, we'll get Pete looking right with some LA gear.
I hope you got triple X's.
I'm a triple X too, buddy. I'm right with you, buddy. Don't worry.
I heard 6328. I'm like, all right, a man over for my own heart. There we go.
Dude, that's honestly, that's one thing with when we start doing our merchandise. we're definitely getting thick boy friendly with the fucking merch. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing these European sizes anymore.
No, it's like
you know,
triple X is when they always do the upcharge. It's like $5 extra for the triple X, and I'm like, I could lose 10 pounds and do the double X, but it's not happening. It's a triple X world.
Yeah, we're gonna do away with the nipples coming through the shirts. We're gonna do away with that. Gentlemen, I still appreciate this.
It cut me deep.
Dude, honestly, I'll tell you what, Maliq, man, I was so happy to get this. And one thing real quick. So friend of the show, former guest of the show, and our buddy, Don Lyons, I asked him something, and if you guys have just a minute, we'll go over it. I asked him, what should I ask to Maliq? What should I talk to Maliq about? And he said he wanted me to ask you about your grandfather that was a boxer.
So real quick. So my dad's dad, he was a boxer, and you know, even as he got older and before he passed away, and you know, dementia and all that stuff, whatever, we have conversation. I always said, I said, Pop, what's your best shot? He would say, left hook. I said, what's mine? He said, drop that right hand on him every time. It was funny because no matter what the man couldn't remember, he looked at me and think I was his cousin, his sisters, and the other. But as soon as I started talking boxing, he knew I was his grandson, and he knew what to tell me. But in a regular conversation, I have no idea who I was or what I was. But
wow,
talking about boxing, he reverted me back to being his grandson. We talked about his son being my dad and wouldn't realize that I'm his grandson. But when we started talking boxing, he knew exactly that I was his grandson. That was the
trigger that kind of got him back.
Dude, that's
like, hey, Maliq, yeah. You know, anything boxing, he was. Anything else, he had no idea who I was.
That's crazy. So, like, do you think? I mean, if he was boxing back then, he was through some legit shit. Like, he's definitely been hit with wet wraps and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, just because of like the shit he went through back then. So do you think that part of the, like, I guess dementia was it had to be from boxing somewhat, right? Like there had to be some residuals.
Yeah. I think the trauma they took back then, you know, how many rounds they did. It's so good. The gloves. I mean, he had hands like a brick. I mean, even when he was like, you could feel the heaviness in his hands. But they would do things like, you know, you tell me you're running 3-4 miles, he would laugh at you like, man, we run 8 miles a day, 9 miles a day. 10. They run 20 miles just because they work all day and running. So anything we did, they did it 10 times harder. But
yeah, and it was uphill both ways through 10 feet of snow. Yeah, I fucking heard all that bullshit.
Yeah. Definitely, I'm sure that you know, when you look at studies now, I'm sure that the trauma, you don't see it now, but the trauma as they get older, I'm sure having your brain out around it many times, you know what I mean, with no head. I don't even, the funny thing is like me, I don't even spar with a headgear. I won't even do it because, you know, unless I'm not going to the head, but I mean, I put my headgear on, I don't care just because I don't want my head to be rattled. You know what I mean? You get one good shot. They were taking them a lot of this back then.
Oh, for sure. And like, you got to think too, like the way, and one of the big things that's helped with brain trauma in recent years is the evolution of the mouthpiece, right?
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things and for people out there, so one of the big causes of like the concussion is the rattle. So if you had a mouthpiece on that wouldn't absorb the shot, you would get hit in the head and your brain like kind of rattles back and forth. With these new mouthpieces, you're able to clench your jaw and like make it almost solid so that when you are hit in the head, the force doesn't rattle back and forth. It just goes out, right? Like the momentum doesn't stay in and rock you. It hits and then flows through. And that's like, with that kind of new technology and stuff, it does help. I mean, to be fair, the brain stuff will be there as long as you're getting punched in the head, but it's not as bad. And I've noticed a definite difference in the mouthpiece for like with that mouthpiece. It's worth it's because it's like $60. They take your dental gimmick and they fucking cut it and send it to you. And it's
this
like,
is not
whatever.
the Sports Authority, boil it for 10 minutes and
yes. Oh, dude. And back then their mouthpieces, who knows, like theirs were just like pieces of bubble gum that they taped together. You know what I mean? Like who the fuck knows what they were using? But yeah, like legit, the mouthpieces now are like they're lifesavers. But and plus too, people think too, like the headgears are good for the padding and everything like that. But they're really mainly meant to prevent cuts. You know, like you're still they'll help, but you're still getting whacked.
I think the best way I heard I think Mike Tyson said it's like imagine getting hit in the head with a bat Now I'll wrap a pillow around the bat and get hit in the head with it. It still fucking hurts.
Yeah. My headgear, my personal headgear, I use the headgear with the bar across the front of it.
Yeah.
Plus, I do a lot of talking when because I sparring and all stuff.
Yeah.
More about teaching.
Still coaching.
We're teaching, right? We're doing coaching, but I mean, just because, like you said, that mouthpiece and whatever, like it's more about protecting the rattle. But like you said, the headgear is not so much so you can just take blows. You know what I mean? It's really like you said, so you don't get cut by the laces of the gloves, cutting your face all up. That's really their sport. It just evolution. They've made it more padding, so you think that, but in reality, that's not what it was designed for. You know what I mean?
Also, too, like so your headgear has to be, if you want to compete, you have to in like the Olympic trials and things like that, you have to have USA Boxing approved headgear. So like what Maliq has with the mouthpiece or the mouth guard and everything wouldn't be USA Boxing approved headgear, which is ridiculous. That the best padding available and the most safe headgear, that should be the USA Boxing approved headgear, no matter what, and it's not.
It's the minimum. It's the minimum. They want the minimum. Actually, it's just actually.
Yeah.
You don't even get the chin protector in that. It's like I have my dude. I'm not gonna lie. I do, like, Rich gave me my headgear as a gift. They're like, dude, they're $160, but it's like, because I do all my shit is white. So like my shoes are white, my gloves are white, my headgear is white. Like everything is
white. Yep, white. Yep.
So oh yeah, man. The socks, everything's all white. So he gave me that white headgear. I fucking love it. But dude, I'll tell you what, Maliq, man, this has just been so fucking great. And you opened our eyes to like the whole thing with this show is the world around us. We want to give context and texture and shape to the world around us. And like now when I look at the telephone poles or like the telephone wires and see that shit, I know what I'm looking at now. And now, like when I put my trash cans out, I'll put a space in between them. You know what I mean? Like all that shit too. Like you see the delivery guys, like, you know what I mean? Like you like be friendly. It just, and then also when you're ordering something from Amazon, do it before noon so you get that hot delivery. You know what I'm saying? So
and when you buy milk, look for the date on the milk. Don't worry about the company, because almost all milk is pasteurized and made the same way. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Say this.
If you have 11 kids, find yourself a nice Chinese lady that owns a buffet and deliver her beer weekly.
Yes. I'm very thankful. You know what I mean? Shout out to her.
For sure. Shout out for sure. So awesome. So we're coming to the top of time. Maliq, is there anything that you wanted to say to the dozens and dozens of Working Perspectives podcast listeners before we go?
I would say thank you to everybody who's listening. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are tuned into this podcast. It's an awesome podcast. It's very much earth, and I think that's what's most important. Most podcasts are kind of fake and set all up or whatever, and I really like the way it just flows in here. You kind of just go with the flow, whatever it is, and I think that's natural. Why I wanted to do it, because I didn't have to worry about studying this and doing this. It's like, hey, we're going to do a podcast talk just to have a good time. And I really appreciate it, Pete. Really nice meeting you. Looking forward to seeing you in person at some point in time. But I appreciate it. Your listeners, they got a great podcasting going on here. And I'm in that. Now I got a podcast I can listen to. So it's awesome.
Oh, dude, I can't thank you enough for saying that. And like you're saying, we are all members of a working society. Like, doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your sexual orientation. We are all working together in society, right? So I think that everyone working in society should have a place where they can voice their story, because your story is incredible. You know what I mean? Like, none of us are billionaires or, wolves of Wall Street, but whatever. You're doing something that a billionaire could never do. You're raising 12 kids. You're running a gym. You're running a clothing line. You're working a 9 to 5 every day, right? Like you're doing. This
is our labor market. This is how things get done.
Dude, and you're doing the impossible. And I think that's more of a story than anything some fucking stunad up on Wall Street could say. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be the voice of the working society, and I'm thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot. So. Absolutely. Of course. And Pete, Pants Party Pete, Party Boy Pete, Magic Man McCormick, what do you got to say to the dozens and dozens of Working Perspectives podcast listeners before we take off?
Don't trust too much into that boxing headgear. We know it doesn't work all the time.
All right. Well, that's been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by Party Boy Pete McCormick with our special guest, King Maliq Harris. You can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us for some fun on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and hang out with us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you would like to be a guest on the show and go through the approval process with the PAAA, you can email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, this is the end of the show. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See ya. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.S as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.